We are live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Noonan Show.
Special edition. As you can see, there's a third chair.
Special edition. We have a third chair, a special guest coming in, Rob Bradford, intrepid reporter, beat reporter, author, blogger. He's got a million things, but he's not here yet, so we'll talk about that when he gets here. I'm Will Noonan. We got Paul Wall Price right here.
Back. I know. That was weird, right? It was the dumbest name to pick. I was like, I'm going to pick something that doesn't sound stoned. And then I got to Brick Wall
Brick
Magic.
Wall Paul. Or Brick Wall Magic. Brick Wall Magic. Paul, I gotta say, I gotta thank Paul publicly here. You know, Paul does so much work on this show. It's called the Noonan Show, but it's really like, you know, it's both of our things. Paul does so much, and just want to say thank you. I get to go out and do shows and meet people and do all this stuff and get all the positive feedback, like to my face.
It would scare me.
But people really compliment you a lot, and
Very nice. Thank you, everyone.
today we are introducing a new technical aspect to the show. Guests,
I know.
another mic. And, you know, just wanted to say, although this is called The Noonan Show, and I'm the goofy comedian with some Twitter followers, can't do it without Brick Wall Paul,
Thank you.
Paul Wall, and Paul Price, who are all the same person.
I'm also Richard Staines.
Dick Staines?
Did I ever tell you about that?
No, was that
I
like
wrote
your
a letter? I wrote a letter to Bill Clinton after he got in trouble, and then he sent me a letter back, but I signed it as Dick Staines. I have it right here.
I heard such a good. And he wrote it back.
Yes.
Oh, what's good? Show it to the cams. The cams. You really shouldn't say cams.
So don't read my address. But
Wow. Does it say anything in the inside like "Dear
take it
Mr.
out.
Staines"?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, not to.
Wow, White House stationery.
Yeah.
Mr. Richard Staines. Dear Richard, thank you so much for your kind message. Grateful for the words of encouragement and support. Didn't you write not a kind message though?
No, I did. I was like,
yeah.
it's all right, man. Things happen, bro. Hang in there.
They do answer a lot of that stuff. I wrote to the White House once or twice in my formative years.
Nice stationery.
Well, you know, that is one of those small courtesies the U.S. government pays for fleecing us out of money constantly, is that they will send you an imaginary letter back.
Worth it, man.
As if from Santa Claus.
Completely worth it.
But yeah. So anyway, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the phone here, Paul. I got so much show business stuff happening. Bradford's running late, which is no problem.
No problem at all. Hope you can find parking. It's Construction City here.
Oh
today.
my! So I have
crazy.
a bunch. My neighbor behind me. I got to enjoy my place a little bit, and now my neighbor's putting in, like, it sounds like she's building some sort of nuclear bunker.
It won't stop.
It's the sound of you know, in movies.
Like
when
driving
you know
still.
in a movie when someone, you can feel that an actor in the movie is about to say, "Hey, quiet back there," like, because it builds. It's like bah, 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 and then it's like all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's just
that's exactly
the sound of sawing.
Maybe she's making like an industrial music album.
The only reason I say she is because I'm privy to the constant phone. The guy calls her all the time at work on speaker.
Yeah.
And goes, it's so funny to listen to these when you're not involved. He calls her up and he's like, so you want the granite, and we're going to have to cut this fence out that's here. So that's going to be another $2. And she's like,
4,000.
200, and he's like, nah, 2K, and she's like, 2,000, and he's like, yeah, 2K. Like, they don't want to say grand or thousand.
It's almost like that 1999 thing where people think other people will pay $19.99 instead of $20.
Oh,
It's
really?
Like,
Oh, yeah.
But it's
that
like
visual
you say
trick.
2K, not 2,000.
Yeah,
Which
that
sounds
is
like,
true.
It's like a heaviness to the 1,000.
It is though, right?
Yeah.
2,000.
Like 2K.
It's like someone saying you're like I was thinking Bradford is just turned 50, and I was like, how do you say that? And I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, you're a half century. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, that's what I can't wait until the year 2020, because that's the first year it feels like the future to me. Where it's
It does. It is
2020.
starting to feel. It's the first time it felt like the future since 2001 when I graduated from high school. But that felt very big.
That was fake, though. They like bilked us that was the future, and they were like, "This is the same."
This is what's gonna happen. This is gonna happen again.
No, Will.
But the 1999 was very cool, which I didn't expect. Party like it's 99. Remember how many times you heard that song?
That was like
year?
the first year I like had fun in high school. That was my second. I think I was a sophomore in 1999. So
There was, looking back on that, I think at the time I was like, hey, I'm a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So life is good. But looking back, I think maybe there was just nationally, culturally, there was a good vibe because it was, hey, we might all just die. And if we don't, like, flipping the page,
was
2000.
that right before 9/11 or right after?
It was, 2
Right
years
before,
before.
right? Yeah,
The
yeah.
world was good before 9/11. That's why they hated us so much. That's why they wanted to bring us down. I remember saying, it was kind of hack at the time, or these kind of thoughts were hacked, but it was a real thought I had. Me and my friends, we were all 19 living in New York, 18, 19 living in New York. I turned 19 the month after 9/11, I think.
So crazy. In the first time you had moved out of your house.
Yeah,
to New York.
I'd been living I moved
Yeah.
to New York City July 8th, 2001.
And you just had fun and partied until September
Yeah,
when you had to
smoking
start
butts,
school.
partying, walking by James
Right.
Dean's old house like, this is the dream. People were, I like hung out with Dave Attell one time before 9/11. Seriously, like crazy cool shit. And then like, boom, the world is now different forever. I mean, it just gets worse and worse. People hated each other when George W. Bush was president. It was the same sort of red-blue thing, but
My girlfriend was on a Catholic trip in Colorado when it happened, and they were in the
Wow.
woods and didn't know it even happened.
that's a blessing. That's a total
Until
blessing.
they had to fly home. But everyone else has like everyone
A
knows
story,
where they were.
yeah.
And she's just like, yeah, did not know.
Yeah, man. I was just I mean, it's coming up on the anniversary of that, and I
Yeah.
was thinking about it. That definitely, it's hard for me to say, hey, that affected me. I was there because you were there.
Everyone
and
was there.
4 million
Nowhere.
or 9 million New Yorkers were there, and then the rest of the country, who wasn't physically there, was still there in a sense. So it's one of those things where you go, hey, that was hard for me, but it was so hard for so many
And
that
like you said,
can't
the
really.
world was different before.
Yeah.
That's a fuck with people, I think. I saw it on a projection screen in homeroom, like a 100-inch screen.
Yeah, it's weird how that was the thing. I remember
Crazy.
it kind of shows how different the world is from it even now, because now the world was so peaceful then. America was so peaceful then that it was, even though that was a tragedy, teachers were saying, hey, get in here and witness history. Like, this is horrible, but it is history, and that's what we teach. So let's witness it in real time. Come on in. You would never now.
I remember my teachers being horrified.
But after everything that's happened since then, you
Yeah.
would never now be like,
That's true,
hey, everyone,
yeah.
come
That's a
in
good
and
point.
let's watch the latest mass shooting. Like, this is history in the making.
Yeah, you're right. It was like a really big change.
There was a big change in the way everything, the see something, say something wasn't a sentence that existed before.
Nah, I think that was Dr. Seuss or something.
Yeah, and the whole TSA didn't exist. The Department of Homeland Security didn't exist. I mean, a different world. Homeland Security was, what is that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very vague term.
Yeah,
We have armies.
yeah.
We have the National Guard. What's the Department of Homeland Security? Well, what it is a blanket term that covers anything and everything that is shady.
Smart.
But yeah, I think about that. So that's kind of my thing. I remember talking about this a lot on Tinder because your age comes up a lot on Tinder.
Okay.
And I always think I have this very weird. Everyone I graduated with in 2001, in June 2001, we all have a very unique experience of
Yeah.
adulthood.
Yeah.
It's and doubly bad because we were in school that whole time things were getting put back together, and then a gigantic recession the year we graduate from that school.
Yeah.
The recession begins. So all these, and I was always going to be struggling.
Yeah.
I was always going to be an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was always going to have this weird sort of pirate's life, vagabond life.
But you almost had it even more because...
If anything, actually, I think in some ways, I think it was a gift in some ways where it was like, fuck it. I didn't have a lot of push from my family and other people going like, why don't you go do this? Because there wasn't anything to go do.
That's interesting.
And I knew people who were on the perfect track, college people who were...
upended, really.
College people, business degrees, heading into that corporate world that had always just been there.
Yeah.
And now they were going to become electrician. Like one of my best friends was working in healthcare and just was like, all the funding's getting taken away from where he was and all the jobs are disappearing. And he was like, I'm going to college to become an electrician.
Smart.
That'll always be there. Yeah. And now he is like golden.
Yeah.
And I knew another girl who was in college and she was just going to do something. And then she was like, fuck it. If I can't do anything, I'm just going to go make art and become a farmer. And she's doing great.
Those people are so far and few between. Most people graduated with $100,000 of debt.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I do think a lot of people, that what you see now. So now when you look at TV and you see all those commercials that are like, there's ads on TV that are just like, hey, do you need advertising for your small business? Oh, yeah, do you need a website for your small business? Do you need an app that helps you keep books on your freelance small business? This didn't exist pre 9/11. Like this, have your own business, make your own money, have a side hustle. We are giving them all cute names, but these are necessities of capitalism, really.
And something that was always there before everyone became the same. We're slotted into all the same jobs.
Oh, back in the day, you'd be like, my neighbor's crazy. He sells the stuff online.
Yeah, exactly.
My neighbor's nuts. He just sits in his backyard, makes, dream catchers and sells them online. Yeah. Now that's like everybody does shit like that. Yeah. There's 14 guys. It's kind of funny, we have this show and...
Yeah, there's a million of these shows.
There's a million of these shows. I'm a comedian. It's like one of my cousins, I noticed, I just found out, like, I know I complain about this all the time, but one of my cousins she's got a boyfriend, and like I just happen to like look at her Instagram, and then I look at her boyfriend's Instagram, and I notice that she's on his YouTube show, and then it's just these two dudes talking about horror movies, and I'm like, it's just so weird that everyone has that instinct now.
And do you feel silly about feeling weird that you had to get a Patreon account?
Yeah. No, I feel like a dick. Sometimes I feel like a dick. The way I feel a lot, and this is just my hang up, is that a lot of times I feel like I've been screwed. Like I go, man, if I was born in almost any other time before mine, I would have been like more successful because I would have been
what they wanted.
I would have been one guy doing it too. Like even in high school, when I was in high school and I was telling my guidance counselors and fellow students, everybody, I'm going to New York to be an actor. It was like I'm going to join the circus. It had that vibe. Yeah. People looked at me like I was fucking crazy. Yeah. And now every kid in high school has some sort of show business dream like that, right? or something big, my senior class,
and they're encouraged too.
People were taught, and they're like encouraged. Yeah. In my grade, people were very realistic about what they were going to do after high school. Same with
mine too.
People were joining the military. People were thinking about working for their parents or working in similar corporate environments to their parents. Teachers. It wasn't like today where everyone thinks they're going to be a CEO or a mogul of some sort, a Fortnite, pro Fortnite player. Everyone's going to be at the top of their field.
Yeah.
I know a guy who works in business, and he talks about he's a little younger than me, but older than the millennial workforce, and he talks a lot about how He's like, these guys just sit around and talk themselves up.
But don't you remember that?
He's like, they sound like their moms, though. He's like, they sit around and they go, I'm smart and I'm talented and I'm going to do something and I've got great ideas. And he says they sit around and they say stuff like that, but then they just go to lunch.
I remember being like that when I was like 19 and 20. Though,
yeah, 19,
honestly.
20, not collecting
older.
50 G's to work for some guy.
Yeah.
I definitely remember thinking, it's just all going to work out for me.
Like, why is everyone so stupid?
Yeah. I'm like a fucking...
So maybe that just got kicked down a little further. Maybe it was like 19, 20, and we were probably even still like probably too old to be feeling like that. But now it got kicked to 24, 25. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well,
people
I'm
are living
sure.
longer.
And I'm sure too, to my dad or someone's generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To say you were an actor then was even fucking completely nuts.
Yeah.
Basically, coming out of the closet.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a communist.
Yeah, you're just like so suspicious to want to go into that. So, but I don't know. I always felt kind of like, man, I've had such like a, although I can't complain. I love my life. I really do. But I often think, I go, man, it's just like constant
Just
sort of
slotted.
I make it out of my parents' house. 2 planes fly I moved to New York City, 2 planes fly right into it and change the whole country.
Yeah.
I graduate from that and there's no jobs, no money, no one wants to pay anybody for anything. I quit drinking and devote myself to stand-up comedy. I finally become a headliner. No one wants a straight white male
It does
headliner.
feel like that.
It's
Yeah.
just...
It's like, what else, God?
It kind of just seems that
You
way.
Job.
Like, no matter, every time I sort of get to like the horizon, there's this hill that is on the horizon, or someone going like, hey, you're lucky to be here, and go fuck yourself or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of that too.
And I also know that I'm still lucky. That
Could be a lot worse.
I
too.
could be so
Yeah.
it could be so much worse.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. In the past year, I've done 20 gigs that most people could go a year off that gig and be like, I'm good.
Oh, 100%.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Or in 5 or 6 real big ones.
Yeah.
But then a bunch like where in the past I would have been like, that's good. I hit my
Yeah, that would have been
I hit
the
my
peak.
milestone for the year and then something big next year.
Yeah.
So I look back in the past couple of years, I'm like, I can never complain.
That's so crazy. It's
I'm doing big things.
and you're getting acting work you like. You're getting
Acting work, yeah, like I like it too.
Yeah.
That's something,
you got a nice little show at Capo.
well, you're a good friend and you remember, like you're a good friend in the sense that you remember, like you've known me a long time.
I knew you right when it started to really happen.
Yeah.
That's like right when I started to meet you. When you really, I think it was like midpoint of your career.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm saying, me as, that you've seen me like when I'm been doing some miserable acting work over the years, like where I'm like, I hate acting.
Oh, yeah.
Like I hate these gigs.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize as much until you kind of pointed it out that you were like, oh, you actually like are liking these gigs more.
You loved all the Honda stuff.
Yeah,
You
love the
loved
Honda
working with
stuff, and I loved doing this movie.
the other thing, yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah. And the other thing, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you hated every aspect of it. They were kind of terrible to you. Like
Which thing are we talking about?
when you had like wear the thing,
yeah.
you
No,
know.
that's like, so that's the thing, dude. That's become legend.
Really?
That's become
that
legend a
worked
little
out
bit
too?
in Boston.
Yeah.
Because now I show up to sets. Because, that crew had like 100 people on it. They spread.
Yeah.
Now it's 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
So you see people and it's like this war we all fought in. Oh my God, you were on that? And people, like the last thing I shot, someone kind of came over and was like, this is that guy. This is the guy in the costume.
This is the one.
Yeah, it was quite a, so that really, I mean, I was just talking about this yesterday. That
was 3
was,
years ago.
remember I go, I'm done.
Yeah. You really were.
It made me go, I'm just going to focus so hard on stand-up that I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy. This Honda stuff is so awesome, and it's the audition, I remember going, it was so, I came so close to not going on the audition.
Wow.
Like so close.
Wow.
I think about it all the time. And I give my girlfriend credit, even though she didn't do anything. But I remember being like, should I go on this? And then I remember kind of like looking over at her and she was sleeping. And I was like, you know, I have like this hot young girlfriend and like life is good and I shouldn't be a fucking lazy prick. I should go on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember having this kind of thought like, my life is good and I'm happy and I shouldn't be.
That nice positive push you get at the right time.
Yeah. I was like, I should go for things instead of being like, I'm not right for it. Because a lot of times with auditions, I'll just go, you know, is it worth me fucking
stressing, trying to bend over backwards for them?
Or even, that's not even, if the money's always almost worth it when you get the gig. But there's like 2 days of shit you got to do sometimes that you don't get paid for to try and get the gig. You got to drive to the casting office, park, likely get a ticket that'll cost $40 to $60 if you like are delayed in any way or something, and then sit in Boston traffic, drive yourself crazy,
which is what you hate more than anything.
And the whole thing takes like an hour and a half, which isn't that bad, but it's an hour and a half where you could have done anything, and it's always in the smack middle of the day.
Which wrecks the whole day sometimes too, because it makes any appointment before you can't do, and it's too late to do appointments after, so it screws everything. So it freezes 2 days for you. And that's 100% correct. And I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. Yeah. So out of, you look at the stats, probably gone on 1,500 auditions, probably gotten 27 roles. Yeah. It's like, so in your mind, the numbers are way against you.
Way against you. And you also know over the years, you're like, all right, like you get the feeling, all right, I'm kind of right. You just start to think like the advertisers do. Yeah. You're like, am I really right for this? Like, I'm like, this is for an
hemorrhoid cream?
Yeah. No one wants to hear, like if it's a lot of stuff I get nowadays, if it's really serious. Yeah. I'm just like, why would this doesn't work anymore. I've done a couple things back in the day. They'll probably come up someday, but it's just me staring into a camera being like, is your data entry system the system you want it to be? Data entry is a serious thing, and some people think this blah 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 blah. I did a lot of those, industrial sort of training videos and stuff. And when I watched them, I was always like, there's something oddly funny about this. It's like I can't.
Is that
turn
why
it
you
off.
started watching? Because you used to watch them on YouTube at one point.
Yeah, I was watching them and stuff. Yeah, I was like, I want to see how these actors do it. I want to see how they're acting. But it got me thinking about all kinds of things. But I don't know. Now I'm thinking about Bradford. I'm like, where is this dude? He's 23 minutes late instead of 15. But that's what I mean about him. He's probably coming directly from EEI.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you turn on EEI right now, like Bradford's probably like calling in.
He is.
Giving an opinion on the Antonio Brown. Like,
it's crazy how busy they are. I think they have to be, though. That's the crazy thing, because it's like a changing medium. Everything's different now. It's kind of like what we were talking about before. It's a whole new world for them, too.
And it's like stand-up, too, where it's like mysterious.
Yeah, there's no formula.
There's no formula.
It changes constantly. One audience will love it, and another audience will hate it. There's a lot of weird things.
I bet the income is patchy, like stand-up is, too. Like,
I bet you now it is.
You get some here, some there, some here, some there, and you just put it all together and make a living. Yeah. That's a tough thing. I kind of, the stress of that was getting to me a little bit last night, just like, when you sit back and look at all the little gigs, like, you got to mix these big gigs with little gigs and keep them coming.
And it's also like some of your gigs are kind of like a workout for you too, so you have to pepper that in at the right point.
I know.
It's weird.
And right now I'm trying to look the same for a month, which is kind of harder than people think. But I'm only lightly trying. I'm like, they're not really paying me to do that, so.
But it's smart too.
It's smart too, and I mean, I don't really change too much.
Yeah. But you were saying before in the summer you wanted to shave your head, and you were like, maybe I shouldn't.
Like, yeah. I can never. Yeah. That's the kind of thing for the Honda stuff I really can't.
Yeah. You would look crazy. Well, you wouldn't look crazy, but it would be like a might as well almost be a different person. You're only hearing your voice.
I mean, have you ever seen a commercial where like a white skinhead is like, buy this car?
I didn't even think of it that way.
Also, one time when we were shooting these, it was like I walked on a set and one of the ladies was like, "Oh, there's that trademark hair," or something like that.
Yeah.
One of the ladies from like the production said something about my hair, and I was like,
Damn. It's good, but that's also now you're married to
makes
it.
you feel like a woman. There's certain things in acting that really make you feel like a woman.
Yeah.
You worry about your weight, you worry about your skin, you worry about your hair,
Yeah.
keeping it mostly.
100% yourself to cameras, just even angles. You know how
Yeah,
to
but
focus.
see, all that I learned,
You learned
so
before,
long ago.
So it's second memory now.
And it's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things to do is not look at the camera.
Really? I'd just be like,
Well, sometimes it's just the way they set it up. Like the person you're talking to is here, and the camera lens is a centimeter away from their eye.
wow, yeah.
So you're just
Because they want it that you're looking at their perspective, but not. Okay.
and actors always notice. There's a German, one of the first German thing I did. I look into the camera in my walk and talk, and it like keeps me up at night to this day. And I've shown it to people, and I've shown it to people in the film business, and even they've been like, "Damn, I never would have caught that. That's like very light, you know." The doorbell has rang. I think that means Boom Sauce is in the building. Hey,
Are you live?
we're live right now.
Oh, wow.
Come on in.
Come right over here.
You sure?
How are you, man?
What's going on?
See you. Welcome to
Sorry,
the
I'm
show.
late.
No, it's all right.
Do you want a water? Or do you want?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
This is just like WEI. It's just like
Better. This is the best shit ever.
you're up a little high.
I'll fix it. Yeah,
Let me
he's up
sit
higher.
straight.
I went to Awaken 180.
Yeah.
You know the weight loss place?
Make sure your mic. We got
And I said, what first impression was they had these awesome chairs, and these are the chairs.
Oh.
This is the chair.
the Awaken 180
It's the
chair.
Awaken 180 chair. I actually said I want to make the commercial based around the chairs. Forget about the weight loss.
I did some Googling on you this morning,
Oh,
and
don't do that.
one of the first. That's the third thing that comes up on you is
what?
weight loss.
It is?
Well, do you ever do the thing where you type in just your name and then see what the
Well, what's the next?
what
word
the
that
next?
pops up?
Because that means
No.
that's what people are looking up about you the
Oh,
most.
it is? Oh, I didn't even know this. I should know more about Google
So
since
when
I work.
people are-
I work for the intranet.
So when people are searching Rob Bradford,
So what are they searching?
they're searching Rob Bradford. WEI would be first.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Rob Bradford Twitter.
Okay.
Second. So they first two things they want are to find
Twitter,
you on the EI
really?
and Twitter.
Okay.
So that's good.
That is good.
Third one, weight loss.
Oh, I don't even want to know the fourth one.
Fourth one is podcast.
Oh, is it? Oh,
That's good.
Fifth one,
yeah.
boom sauce.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be great leverage.
Sixth-
Great leverage for Lord Hobo.
Sixth one, Beverly, Mass. Hometown, right? Hometown
Well,
boy.
yeah.
People looking you up?
Yeah, I guess. I don't think that's a good one.
See, I think that one is
That's
guys.
not-
That's guys you went to high school with looking you up and bars going like, "What's
No.
Rob Bradford?"
That's where.
No,
That's. I mean, it's not. It's where I live. It's
Oh,
not
you
even
still
where I'm
live
from.
there. Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's a little disconcerting, to be honest with you.
Sorry, bud.
No, it's all right. If people are Googling, they can find it. It's called the White Pages.
Rob Bradford United. I don't know that one. Is that some other Rob Bradford?
No, there's actually, so Mike Lynch, who just retired, he said that there's a Rob Bradford who is the North Shore Chamber of Commerce guy.
Whoa.
Yeah, so if you need passes to the Essex Shipbuilding Museum, I can get those for you. So
And the last one.
these chairs, I can't tell you how much these chairs are awesome.
Wow, we
That's
gotta
good.
get-
I was worried about the chair because it's people either love it or hate it.
We gotta find out what brand.
No, I know. I can tell you. Speaking of Google, I found the chairs.
Rob Bradford chairs.
Chairs, yes. There you go.
And then the last one, which I think is my first one, is Rob Bradford age. People always want to know the
well,
age.
they know that now.
Now,
That's no secret.
It was your birthday
anymore.
day before yesterday.
2 days ago. What's today? The 5th?
Yeah.
Yeah, the third. Yeah, that's no secret. There's
50 years old.
50 years old. There's no hiding from that. I mean, you basically have to leverage when you have that.
Yeah.
You have to leverage it as much as you.
It's good.
So I was thinking, how can I leverage this? Because that's what I'm all about. I'm like, I put my Twitter handle on my T-shirts. It's like, okay, as a gift, I want people to subscribe to my podcast. And then I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. I should do something like donate money to a charity or something like that. I have to leverage this somehow. And then it just came and it went, and I did
Got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you know, how do you not leverage your 50? I leveraged it by not doing my podcast. It was an excuse not to do it.
You gave yourself a week off.
I gave myself.
I think you get discount movie tickets over 50, right?
Minahan actually texted me this, right? So I've known him forever, and he texted me the day before. He's like, "You realize tomorrow you're going to be the same age as Wilford Brimley in The Natural, and Dom DeLuise in Cannonball Run 2."
Damn.
Which I said, yeah, but I'll have the jumpsuit takes off 10 years, right? So it was,
wow. How old's Kirk Minahan?
He's like 45.
That's what's funny about it is like you're like, I love it when guys who are going to be 50 in 5 years are taking hard shots.
Oh, no, it's not really, it's just a reality. I'm like, because I was watching Top Gun the other day, which I can't admit it. I just said that, but it's I was watching, and Tom Skerritt was 50 when the guy who was basically like, when I was young, I'll be your wingman anytime. I mean, so these guys seem so ancient. So we have. So we're doing all these podcasts, and Lucy and Elaine, Lucy
they're great.
Elaine, they're doing, so they had, hey, happy birthday, Rob Bradford. And Elaine's 22. And they said, how old do you think he is? And she's like, oh, why are you doing this to me, Lucy?
I saw that.
Yeah. But then you listen to it, and it's worse because she goes, in his 50s, and you guys know how it works. You always guess younger, right? Than you actually think.
Yeah.
And she's like, in his 50s? I'm like, you honestly think I'm 75 years old?
When people are at 22, though, because I'm 36, and the 21-year-old comedians talk to me like I'm Lenny Clark.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, do you remember, like, what was it like when Dennis Leary was running around here? I'm like, I'm not that old.
But, you go back and you have that perspective of it, and I don't blame him. I thought if you said to someone, that 50-year-old, I'm like, you're done.
Yeah, when you're in high school, you're like, is he retired?
Yeah, but fortunately, I feel better than ever thanks to our good friends at Awaken 180.
Awaken 180.
See how the circle of life.
Perfect.
That's a lot. How much weight did you lose?
50.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So
you never wore it in like your face. So
I did wear it in my face.
Really?
Oh my God.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I had to grow out the goatee, so I had the 5 chins. But it was. So I don't want to say I had a heart attack because I didn't. So I had an
event.
An event. I had an event. I had the appointment for Awaken 180 because the salespeople, in their very kind way, said, "Hey, would you be interested?" So you're looking at me, you're saying I'm fat, whatever. That's cool. All right, I'll do it. So I had an appointment, and a couple days before I had the appointment, I actually had this heart thing because of pneumonia. And so I was in the hospital. I come out of the hospital. I go to the winter weekend. I do a couple podcasts there. I got the Awaken appointment on Monday. And I go to Rick Porcello and Joe Kelly because I'm doing the podcast. I said, hey, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Whatever. Okay. All right. I'll bet you I'll lose 50 pounds, not knowing anything about the program or anything. But I'm the type of guy who needs something like that. I need to bet.
Yeah,
I need
to motivate you.
Yes, I need
Keeps you on track. You're gonna win.
I have to.
Yeah.
And so, and
you got to close your eyes and see Porcello and Kelly and that money.
Yes, exactly.
Something.
Flash forward to the end of April, beginning of May. We're in Texas, and I said, you know, and I lost the weight, and I said, okay. And we had defined it like, oh, I'll pay for dinner, or you pay for dinner. I was never going to pay for your dinner. I mean, you kidding me? And so, you know, there's like boom, boom, boom. I'm like Robin Hood. I took from the rich, gave to the poor. I took all the writers out to eat that night. Yeah. So I feel like I'm maybe the best human being on the planet.
Yeah, I think that might be.
Yeah.
Let's tell Elaine about that.
Yeah, Elaine. Like, this is what you can aspire to. Losing 50 pounds.
This is what age gives you knowledge.
Remember Dennis Green, though? Remember the old coach, Dennis Green? The deceased Dennis Green, Minnesota Vikings coach?
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
I remember. That's what I remember. He turned 50 and he lost 50 pounds. He's dead now, which so.
That's not, it doesn't bode well.
It's not really good advertisement, but there's things where you remember turning 50, and that was. So anyway, what I'm saying is I'm decrepit, but at least I'm not fat.
Joe Rogan's flirting with 50 right now.
He's 52, 53.
Well, my thing was Keanu Reeves turned 55 the day before I turned 50.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, listen, there's hope.
Doesn't that make you just think how much hair dye is Keanu Reeves walking around?
I look at it as somehow I'm going to turn the corner and evolve into that good-looking guy.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
I always think that though when I see like a guy like Keanu Reeves is 55, and I'm like, he must be going full, like almost like a woman going full hair dye.
I think at some point he didn't take great care of himself either, though.
Yeah, you're a movie star. It's your job.
He smoked. He really didn't take care of his body at one point, but he's still pretty perfect.
By the way, I have more time now because I was supposed to do a podcast with Cora at 2:30.
Get out of here.
And he canceled.
So we're getting you for longer because Alex Cora.
As long as you want. As long as you want.
Thanks, AC.
Yeah. You guys get.
I asked him if he would do that.
50th time, man. It's the 50th time he's postponed.
I was yelling at Fenway last night, like, I need Bradford for a little while longer.
Alex Cora, if you go back to my podcast, he's appeared on the podcast like 18 times, right?
Yeah.
Like once since he became manager. It's a totally different dynamic.
It's like, what the hell?
I'm like, hey, you want to talk about Rusney Castillo playing in Puerto Rico? Yeah, sure. When do you need me?
Yeah.
A little bit different dynamic now. Stupid baseball.
I heard him dying laughing the other day on the phone. I don't know if I think he was on the phone with OMF.
Yeah, it's fake laugh. Yeah. You know that. Come on.
You can tell.
I'd never heard him laugh at all, and he was like laughing. I don't know. I was there last night. I was actually gonna text you. I didn't know what the protocol was.
You guys come up to the booth anytime.
I had really good seats, and I had an empty seat, and I was like, does Bradford ever come out of the booth?
Where were you sitting?
I was kind of near Drinkwater. I was my brother.
You were?
Yeah, my brother has.
Oh my God! I would come down in a heartbeat.
Next time I'll
mingle
do
with a riffraff.
I know.
Of course.
I'm my brother's got these great season tickets through his law firm and stuff.
Really?
And every now and then they come down to me.
So you witnessed what it is like to see a broadcast, Tom Caron and I, in spring training, which was, it doesn't get any better than that.
Many times, too. I've sat down there many times. I sat there and won the World Series last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was nuts. And I met Daniel Drinkwater, for the uninformed, he's this guy who goes to every single Red Sox game. He used to own Giant Glass.
He's a glass trillionaire.
And a philanthropist as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I've definitely seen him.
And a great guy. And he came to, when we were in Fort Myers, he came to our show like 3 times.
Did he really?
Yeah, and he sat in the front row too. Whoa. And I was like, wow, I feel, you watching me every night in the front row, I feel like a Red Sox, like almost, having you here. And it was great to just, so I saw him and he goes to me and my girlfriend. He's like, oh, come sit. So me and my girlfriend sat with him and his wife.
Oh, really?
For like half a game.
Yeah.
And just my phone is exploding.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
He's like, he's a man of the people. He really is. The thing is with him is that you can't bring your phone. Like you can't. That's a rule.
I know.
You can't do it.
He doesn't. You don't even really want to talk too much. Because I kind of started peppering him with questions.
Yeah.
And he gave me one of these. And old guys will do this sometimes. They're just like, hey, they'll throw the hand right up.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah. Like when you turn 50, you really don't give a shit anymore. So, yeah.
I had some complaints. I was like, that Safe Flight commercial, it's not really accurate. The guy doesn't really come over with a smile in an hour. It's more like a dude from Dorchester with a neck tattoo.
Dennis Drinkwater always comes over to my house to fix my windows. Yeah,
He's got all the World Series rings and everything.
This is a good setup you guys have here.
Paul's amazing.
Bad, right?
Really?
We've slowly morphed into this. That's what it's
I appreciate you guys surfacing expertise, my science expertise.
Yeah.
And
I loved it. I had to play that
well,
video.
it was because it made me feel like I did something like worth doing, right? So, which was the Slinky experiment.
That was a big.
science.
I think people are still talking about it.
Well,
Yeah,
it gave us great content for the radio, first of all, and nobody, none of the other shows want to acknowledge the existence, but it's good.
Which is insane. It's the best show. The Sunday mornings on EI.
yeah, well, it's changed now. It's football now, so
Yeah.
we're in hiatus, as they call
This
it.
is what I always talk about my EI relation. I love baseball season.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all seasons, but my favorite is baseball season. So everything shifts into Patriot.
Well, they pound
Focus.
Patriots because Patriots drive the bus.
dog.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Everyone loves the NFL.
But
and people are starved for it, especially right when you first get that first.
Well, you
lick
know
of the
what's
season.
amazing? So you guys are big Patriots fans. So what's amazing is that how people don't want to acknowledge when they lose. Like, it is so bad for business.
It's funny.
It's like, so you can see it on the websites and digital, and you can the calls on the station. When they lose, people do not want to deal with it for 2 days. It is so bad for business.
It's interesting. It is. It's funny. People, the whole I mean, I feel like all the big sports franchises here now that especially the Red Sox and the Patriots, they're so big. It's such a big.
Yeah.
I mean,
when I was a kid, it felt small. It feels global now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's, think about it. Well, and I know, like say when I was a kid, but I'm 75 years old now. But it's, you could buy tickets to the Patriots for $10, and it filled out the corners of Foxborough Stadium and Gillette Stadium, and everything else was empty, and it was easy. It was just, and I looked at even going back to some Red Sox stuff recently. Empty seats.
Yeah.
Empty seats.
Not when I was a kid in the 90s going to games, it was really, really empty.
It was really easy to go.
It was really easy to go. Just walk up. I remember the first year I walked up to buy a ticket and they said no. And I was like, huh?
What?
Really?
yeah. I remember.
And now you're a big shot now. You go in a broadcast booth.
I
and-
know. It was cool.
So
man.
they was since you came out to witness TC and I do the spring training.
that was cool
This
as
is
hell.
so that's my thing, right? Spring training, like they don't want to pay anyone else to do it, so I do it. So whatever. I have a blast doing it. But I did. So the other game, I did. I think Mother's Day or something like this.
Yeah.
Whatever, I did it, and Jimmy Dunn was very nice,
yeah.
very nice. It was all I retweeted his tweet like 10 million times, more Bradford on the broadcast.
It's true though. That's what we were saying.
Well, I am the future of sports.
We are fortunate. We got to get to that.
So I did the 12-minute game the other day,
Oh yeah.
which is
On
me,
EI?
yeah. And so it was like the 12-minute game, the Kansas City game, and it was like the best thing ever. I transcribed all 603 words. I did. I was at a bar last night after the game, and we're Will Fleming.
I love Will Fleming.
I'm like, let's read through this. And the last line is, the good news is that I parked at a 2-hour meter. Everybody wins. That was literally the last line I had. So yeah. So
I
anyway.
think I love. I have sort of a thing with going to. I'm with the cycle. I go to the game alone and I listen to Josie
Do you
while I'm
really?
at the game. Yeah,
all right.
I do that a lot. I'm like, I go with friends
You
too.
are 75 years
Yeah,
old. Yeah.
but I talk about it a lot. I go with my brother a lot because he's also a big baseball fan. But I do feel like Fenway a lot of the time now you go with people and it's like they just want to move the whole time and take pictures the whole
When's
time.
the dance off in the seventh
Yeah,
inning or
Sweet
whatever?
Caroline,
yeah.
all that stuff. So I really enjoy the sport and want to watch it. So I often go alone, and then I listen to the game, and then I listen to on the way home. I listen to either Mud at Night, or Brian Barrett.
Yeah.
I love Brian Barrett so much. Like when he's in a bad mood, or
he's
about
like,
the Sox.
So I've just got to know Brian a little bit. Good guy. But it was like they would have walk-offs this year. And 5 minutes in, it'd be like Nathan Eovaldi's contract is terrible.
When is Cora gonna get this under control? I just don't know what this guy's doing down there.
Yeah.
Like that's what I love about. And then people call in. The callers are insane. We talk about this all the time. But one of the things. So we were talking about before you got here. You guys work. Let's just focus on you because you're the guest here today. You work like crazy. Like you're writing blogs.
Yeah.
going,
everywhere.
interviewing athletes,
Yeah.
doing
It's the worst
live,
part.
being on EI,
Yeah. Well,
messing,
yeah, but I mean, I'm not.
the Noonan Show.
And this isn't like the Chilean miners weren't complaining about this sort of thing.
But it's
you know,
a lot
like,
of people. I don't think people get it. They turn on the TV, they see you at Fenway talking into a microphone. They don't think that, this guy had to go to Awaken 180, give some blood.
I think they get it perfectly. It's like you're stealing money for going on the TV for 5 minutes. All right, so I guess my situation's unique because I do a lot of different things, which I like. I honestly I'll preface this by they don't want me on the radio for 4 hours at a whack every day, right?
Yeah.
I am not in the upper echelon of WEI, but which is totally fine because I don't know if I could actually do that. I need to do different things. I like doing different things. I came up as a reporter. I like I've said this, I get more satisfaction off of writing a good story. It paints my day more than anything. You could never do a 4-hour radio show and say, I nailed that.
Yes,
like you do if you wrote a story.
I agree with
so
that,
like that's my thing. So I like doing all this, and I ever since I left the Herald 11 years ago to go to EI, this is one of the cool things is that we can do a lot of different things. Like I get to do the broadcast, I get to do the pregame show, I get to write, I get to do whatever. It is, it's because I'm in charge of this website, because I'm in charge of covering the Red Sox, because I'm also, let's be honest, you also have to keep yourself viable. Oh, look at that.
You did it with your hand.
Oh,
That
did
was
I?
like no, I'm not really. But it seemed like it.
Right.
Add user of the force to Rob's.
Well, again, future of sports. But you have to be I mean, this is the challenge, I think, more so than 10 years ago, where you're throwing newspapers against windows, which is you have to constantly stay viable.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with you guys. It's like with any podcast, how are you going to separate yourself from the trillion other podcasts?
It's true. I was saying we're doing this. We're also live on YouTube right now. And I was saying, that's really hard to get any viewers there because like my niece is 12 years old and she starts her and her friends start a new YouTube channel like every other week. This week it's makeup, next week it's so there's people out there, thousands upon millions,
so much content,
starting YouTube shows and things all day every day.
But here's the thing. So some unnamed radio guys will be like, there's too many podcasts. Well, here's the reality. It's just like when the internet started with newspapers. The newspapers said there's too much internet. Well, it's not going away. So you better separate yourself. You better be better at it than everybody else. The same thing with podcasts, right? You got to find a way to do something, because we're trying to sort of start this podcast initiative in this community of podcasts instead of just doing, hey, Dale, do a hockey podcast.
Yeah.
Boom, there, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
No,
anymore.
That's the fun part of it is too, though. There's no script. So you really have to figure it out. It's scary and you're in like an ocean by yourself.
Yeah.
But it is also like an established medium. It's gone to another place. It's flowed to another place.
Well, and everyone can do it, right? I mean, and not necessarily do it well, but this is, I enjoy, to your point, like I enjoy finding ways to do things different. Like that's one of the things I like doing. I like, we did I call it the rickshaw. Like everyone's like says that's not a rickshaw, it's a pedicab, right?
I knew what you meant immediately when you said it. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we do these podcasts and rickshaws, like comedians in cars or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's something new. It's something. I like the idea of trying to separate.
You have to.
From but
people like in advertising. People always and the meetings are always like, we want a viral video. And it's kind of like, well, we all do. And let's invent one right now. Like no one knows what the next thing. And it's a lot of people, I think, come late to the party and try and sort of get it then. Like I think like Conan O'Brien is having a lot of success with his podcast. Yeah. But I feel like at that point, it's like, dude, if you have a talk show on TBS, you don't need a podcast.
It's like the example that I use, and I even use for people, is like Barstool. Okay. Barstool, I think I saw a story, 40% of their business right now is podcasts.
Yeah.
And they have it rolling. And like, this not pretend like we are ever going to be that, because they can flick a switch, whether it's good or not. And a lot of them are great, and it's going to get listened to. That's how it is. They built that up and they deserve that. But let's not pretend like we can do this and we'll end up there.
Yeah.
But what we can do is find out, like, what do they do well? Right? Like, what
things are they doing that are cool?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think no one likes a full copycat anyway. You have to find your own way and do your own things. And
I guess, yeah. But you know,
as we do this Joe Rogan-esque podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But this, how did let's be honest, like, how did I become aware of this? Like, because you pulled a clip and then I saw it and I liked it and I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. And then we played it on the radio. I mean, what's better?
I know.
I mean, but that's how it works,
and that was
right?
so funny too. That was so funny, dude. I was driving out of Boston Bowl on a Sunday morning.
I want to get into I don't understand the bowling thing, but we can get into that a little bit.
Anytime, yeah. I mean, it's, the bowling thing I started with, I was dating I now live with my girlfriend, but when I was dating her, we just went bowling.
What an aphrodisiac that is.
I know. I was like, well, what do you want to do? Want to go bowling? And she was like, okay. And we went to Boston Bowl, and it sort of became our go-to date.
Yeah.
And I started putting up some scores. I started putting up some good scores, and I was like, and then I remember this is how it really started. It was like one day I was just driving by Boston Bowl, like in the middle of the day, going to coming back from an audition or something. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in and bowl. And I went in and I went bowling by myself, and I did all these tweets like, I'm bowling by myself right now. And it just like caught on so much more than I ever would have thought anything would have. Like,
really?
I call WAF, they made me like come in and talk about it.
Oh yeah.
They were like, Maddie and Nick, they were like, why are you bowling alone? And I had to defend myself, and it became like this thing. So then I started going more and more as it's like, hey, fuck you don't like that I bowl alone? Like, I'm gonna go every like 2 times a week. And then I bought bowling shoes, because I'm like, that's like half the money goes to renting the shoes. So I bought bowling shoes, and then
he was in too deep.
Then when the guys at the bowling alley see you with your own shoes, they start coming in like, hey, you want to join the league?
So the next thing is, how do you monetize that? How do you
get that sponsors? So it's already, I'm already talked to some people about
that's how it works, right?
I have an idea for a show, actually, and I think it's a good idea.
I'll tell you what, you go to spring training next year, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, no one's gonna pay me yet, but I think I'm just gonna have to go.
We'll figure that out. We have some time, right?
Okay.
So you have to do the Mookie podcast. Podcast at bowling alley.
I was trying to get that last year. I was I was hitting. I had Jason Belmonte, who's like the biggest bowler in the world, trying to.
Really?
Yeah, I was like trying to get everyone, but it was like, I'm like, here I am in Fort Myers. I'm shooting for this. I'm trying to get Mookie Betts on my podcast. Of all the members of the team, I'm gonna get Mookie Betts.
He does it. So I do it with Mookie. I do it once a year. We have this arrangement for the last 3 years. Like, we'll do, because that's cool. The problem is with players with these podcasts is that, especially in season, the time element, like, this is cool, like, we're just sitting around talking, but the time element is a pain in the ass. And so, okay, we're gonna do one time. I got them for, I think, almost exactly 28 minutes every single time, which for in season is like eternity. That's great. But to get these guys, like, you were down, you saw Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah.
That's how I would love to do it every time. We're just sitting, we're eating, we're drinking,
we're just hanging out. That was cool.
Yeah. So
I met so many. That was like such a cool table, because that was like a table of all guys I follow on Twitter for Red Sox news. It was like my entire Twitter.
That was?
It was like Ian Brown, Catillo, all those dudes.
Yeah,
Catillo or Catillo?
No, sorry, I liked how you said
I give him the
first time. So
I give him the I give him the Spanish.
Catillo.
Catillo.
It's
Catillo.
Silverman. That was a Ryan Brazier one. Ryan Brazier must have felt so like.
Yeah, Brazier.
I mean, he was the center. I
remember though, like, Whitman asked him for a picture, and he looked like he was like, I'm getting out of here now.
Nah. Manny Del Carmen was there. Yeah.
Great.
So.
He came to the shows a bunch too. Manny was such a good guy. I was ribbing him a little bit for some of his facial hair this year.
But it's just like, that's, to me, this idea, like eating and drinking. Like actually, one of the Red Sox PR people said, "I like that Mookie podcast. Why? Because he was eating during it."
Yeah.
Like, and that's
Well,
it, right?
one of the things I really like about you and Reamer and Wiggy and
We sound like we're eating during this show.
no, it's the I was
There's
talking
an
about
entertainment aspect.
There's an entertainment
of it. It's not
aspect.
always just pure sports. There's also like there's more that brings you there.
Yeah, it's like the golden era of Sports Center was Kilborn and Dan Patrick, and it was they were giving you stuff you wanted, you were getting info you wanted, but it was like it wasn't just it wasn't just their personality. It was like they were doing some jokes and being a little funny with it, and it's a vibe, and I feel like that's the thing.
Well, it's supposed to be, and this is what drives me nuts about sports radio is that like, and I've heard it more and more that it sounds too much alike, right?
Yeah.
And how many times can we talk about Tom Brady's contract? How many times can we talk about Carly Lloyd? And then, a show will do it, and then the next show comes around and we got to hear our voice.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed, I didn't know what to expect. I had been on the Sunday show with a bunch of people. I didn't know what to expect with Reamer and Wiggy. It seems sort of like an odd combination.
Yeah,
right?
It was.
But when we did the thing about, them racing out on Lansdowne Street, them sprinting, I'm like, this is it, right?
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Because, and this is what we have to get our head around as a sports radio station, is that drove the conversation for 3 days. When Wiggy and I played basketball against each other, that drove the conversation for 3 days.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's okay to talk about what we have to talk about, but what's wrong with having this other stuff too?
I think that's really important. I think that's where it's going, I think. And I think
it's where it should go.
Well, the younger in demos, and not even that young anymore, because I'm 36.
Yeah.
That's what we were raised on.
Yeah.
We're coming from the Sports Center, TNT.
There's always a joke to it.
They're loose.
There's always nothing's one thing.
Around the horn,
But it's not. The thing is that. It's not forced. I mean, I hope it doesn't feel forced. It feels like, like us sitting around talking, and I've said this about writers. So when I, doing, you guys know, doing a podcast, to keep on a schedule, to do it, you have to think ahead and have content. So for me, I would love to default to the writers.
Yeah.
But the problem with a lot of the writers is that they have so much information in their head, they feel like I have to get all this information out.
Yeah.
And the thing that I would say to them is that no one's going to listen to your information until you entertain them.
It's very true.
I mean, that's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, you want to have everyone has their, just speaking as a sports fan, you have your guys, I think it comes from seeing someone who you sort of relate to in some weird way, whether it's just their opinions, their takes, you would say, you go, I always agree with that guy. He becomes your favorite
He's
guy.
your guy, yeah.
He's your guy in the crew. And it's funny. So my favorite thing to talk about sports radio is it's the original podcast. Because for a while it would be 4 guys or 3 guys for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And sometimes my favorite stuff would always be the minutia. Why one guy's late and everyone's on his ass for being late or something.
Well, let me ask you that along those lines. So some people say, there's too much behind the scenes stuff. There's too much drama. Talk about what you need to talk about.
A lot of people did say that for a while.
I think it's different. I think it's generational. It really is. Older people don't want any riffraff, it feels like.
But do you think that people want... obviously the EI, for better or for worse, there was a lot of drama.
Yeah.
Right? A ton of drama.
I think when people smell a rat in any way, if they think there's any sort of pro wrestling vibe to it at all, it turns them off.
But that's the thing, is that people say that's staged. I'm like, I can tell you that it's not, that wasn't staged. That stuff, it wasn't staged.
Well, I think I don't know, the Kirk Minahan stuff was obviously not staged.
No. Listen, that
was serious.
Yeah, believe me, I was in the middle of it, So it was that. There's nothing staged about any of that. And I think that, honestly, that's one of the things that, when Kirk started, that changed the dynamic. And maybe it's evened off a little bit. But transparency, there wasn't the transparency before. There just wasn't.
Yeah.
And now, so I think there's sort of like, okay, you know, for terrestrial radio, there's more transparency. Maybe it's reeled in a little bit than it was a couple of years ago. but you know,
it's good. I think it's good to have a difference. Like, it was good to have, you know, it's good to tune into OMF sometimes and hear those guys and hear you and Reamer and get different things at different times.
Right.
Dale and Keefe is a show I really like, but I meet a lot of diehard sports radio guys who are like, I can't listen to Dale and Keefe.
Well, it's, you know, all of it's subjective.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, this is, when I get on there, I'm just like, you know, I don't, especially now, maybe I was different. When I got on, I think I got on the old Big Show. That's how I got on.
Yeah.
I was at the Eagle Tribune, and you're worried about every single thing that you say, and you're beating yourself up I remember, think about this. The old Big Show was the whiner line at the end. And I could go 3 hours and 45 minutes and be like, I nailed it. And then the whiner line would come up, and there'd be two assholes who just would rip you for something. And that would paint your whole day. That would be like
that's the comedian line.
Right. But think about that, like how different it is, because if I was like that now, I would wake up in the morning and be like, my day sucks from get-go.
Yeah. I talk about that with Paul a lot. Like how over the years it just bounces off you eventually.
Yeah.
They do that to me when I'll go on morning radio I'll do the whole 3 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they do the whiner line at the end.
Yeah.
There's always dudes who are like, "Wah," and they just make fun of my voice and the way I talk, or just make fun of me and stuff. And I'm just like, well, that's a great way to end this show.
Yeah. Well, think of it now. Until we have the text line, which, you know, I don't know why anyone looks at.
That's always like cancer.
Yeah. I don't know why anyone looks at it. Or you use social media, you know, like people, and it's literally it's become white noise. Like, I sort of feel like I've gone through the gauntlet, so I just don't give a shit anymore.
What are people? Well, I guess with sports, people are always going to really take, like, if they disagree with you, they're gonna come at you hard.
They really make it personal. That's
it's more. Listen, I mean, the whole you don't know what you're talking about with the bullpen you know, but it's not that. It's you know, you're fat, you can't speak, you're an idiot.
Do you ever get something that you didn't even know? Like, one time I was on I was on the Kumia show, and this guy was like, get that small-wristed weirdo off this show. And then I was like, and I'm like, they are kind of small. And then I started asking people, and everyone's like, you do have really small wrists.
But see, that's where you make the T-shirt up. I said, I have small wrists. It's funny because and then you get, you know, as long as the family doesn't get too involved.
Oh,
and everything.
yeah, that's not cool.
I took a picture of I don't remember why I did it, in my kitchen, and I took a picture of myself and posted it on Twitter, and then I didn't realize this. I had lived in this house for 20 years, and I took this picture, and in the background were these Jell-O molds that were up on the wall in the background, and one of them was a lobster, but it looked exactly like a dick with two balls, right? So it looked, and so
like, just on the wall, you know, like to worship.
So on this thing, so, you know, like, this is the good stuff and the bad stuff of the internet. They immediately focused in on this. Why does Bradford have like a Jell-O mold of a dick and two balls up on the wall?
So
and to make it
funny.
worse, it was pointing at like a round bun cake thing, so it looked like the dick like was going like it was. And my wife was like, I'm like, hey, did you see this? And she was horrified because we had lived there for 20 years. And then my son goes, yeah, you guys didn't know that? My friend had noticed. Like, oh my God.
So funny,
so
man.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that, yes,
I love stuff like that. It's a new, we're like the guinea pigs of that.
Yeah.
Because I always think no one knows how that's going to affect you. Because I always use the kid tripping in the hallway. I always use this example of in the 90s or 80s, 70s, whatever, if you were a kid in high school and you tripped in the hallway of high school, you would go, oh, that was embarrassing. Maybe laugh at yourself, shake it off, go on with your day. Now, your brain has to process, did my friend see it? Did anyone tape it?
Yeah.
Is the closed like circuit camera footage of this ever going to be turned into a GIF and I'll be seen by millions?
Yeah.
Will I be on a fail video? Will I be on America's Funniest Home Videos? Will I be talking about this on Good Morning America one day?
And
It's
forever too. It's
Right.
there.
Every moment.
I mean, that's where you really have to get to the I really don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. And that's hard to do. I mean,
It is
like
hard.
writers, I can tell you there's a lot of writers, especially the older writers, who still are not good at it because they didn't have to come up that way.
Yeah. Well, you can see people who fight on Twitter. You can see
Oh,
it.
yeah, absolutely, right?
You're
I mean,
like,
so.
what do you do? What are you wasting your time? And when you fight with someone on Twitter, you're just giving a shitty Twitter account like tons of
That's where
attention.
I never got.
Yeah.
I never understood that.
They're
And-
winning.
Yeah, they're getting exactly what they wanted
Yeah,
out
exactly.
of you.
Like my son. So my son is he's in college and he does stand up, and he but I said I will not. I still have not witnessed him, and people say, "Well, why haven't you watched him?"
Yeah.
I said, "There's two reasons. I mean, there's number one, I'd be too nervous for, and you guys probably can relate. I'd just be too nervous. One joke that bombs, like I feel terrible for him, and also I just don't want to hear what he has to say.
I didn't let my parents come see me for many years.
Really?
Yeah, but it was more for the first reason. I was like, I don't want them to have to see me bomb, and it's too touch and go. At the first few years, you don't know like if you're gonna do well or not.
Yeah, and
Each
you
show.
have to power. You can't explain to your parents, "Hey, listen, don't worry about it."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm powering through this.
You get that enough from your friends, you know, like they come see you in those early.
Yeah.
Everyone comes to see you at the beginning when you're the worst.
Yeah,
that's when everyone wants to come.
Yeah,
because they're like, holy shit, Noonan's doing stand up. What the
open mic night?
yeah, they're like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
you know. And that's also when comedy clubs can kind of prey on you a little bit too and be like, hey, you want to do our comedy club? You're like, it's just that easy? And they're like, yeah, just bring 30 people and sell all these tickets
really?
and da-da-da. Yeah, so a lot of times you're 2 months into comedy, you find yourself on stage at this big comedy club and 20 of your friends are in the crowd and you have like no skills. You just go out there and bomb.
I mean, I can't. Like, I was so proud of him because he would go to like downtown Beverly and hold up a sign and say free jokes, right? Wow. And basically be like, here, give me
That's cool.
something and say free jokes and you know, just to do what you're talking about. To be able to power through and not worry about.
Yeah.
I mean,
it takes time.
We talk about being a sports writer in this business and people having thin skin. Like that is the best training. Forget about college. That is
it's unreal.
Best training for, like you said, when you trip to going down the hall.
Yeah.
Like, okay, everyone gather around.
Yeah.
Video me.
I tripped. Yeah.
I tripped. There you go.
When I was starting out in stand up in New York, I used to, before the show, hand out the flyers for 2 hours on the sidewalk.
Yeah, like
that'll really like.
I'm sorry. I know that everyone hates what I meant. I mentioned that at Twin Peaks, and everyone was like,
yeah, we all were like, yeah, thanks. He stole our entire life.
Yeah. So,
Made a great TV show out of it.
Yes. Sorry.
Did you see my eyes deaden slightly?
Oh my God! Yeah, it was like you're just like. But again, I'm testing you. So,
What's
sorry.
the sports writer version of that?
I know that's exactly what you said at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was it was
good memory.
Yeah, it was a good point. And so what would be the sports writer version if you did this sort of cliche? I mean,
I guess it would be like Jim Rome, Francesa.
Yeah, it would basically be
Mike Wilbon. Someone.
I could name some local names, but I won't.
I'm trying to stay out of that.
Yeah. You know, listen. The reality is that if we're talking about whatever you're selling out or whatever you want to call it, it's writers see electronic media, whether it's Felger, whether it's Holly, whether it's whoever.
Yeah.
It pays a crap lot more than writing does, newspapers or whatever, internet. It's a ton easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Felger saying that to me. He's like, listen, it's easy. It's easy. And he's right. Writing is hard.
It is hard.
And it pays like a fraction.
And it's, do you feel like people, like in your day-to-day walking around, how many people do you meet who actually read what you write?
They read the tweets.
They read the tweets and they read the headlines and they listen to you on stuff, but do they actually read the blogs?
Nah, I mean, you have to.
They're really well written too. You and Reamer.
Thanks.
I always think that I go, this isn't something you just throw out like real quick. They're well
to go back to we were talking about my day and being busy. So basically what I do is I wake up at like 5:36. I go to North Beverly Starbucks and I write because the internet, first of all, they like early morning rather than late at night.
Yeah.
And so I'll write. I'm like today I wrote about, all the Red Sox bullpen chaos.
That was crazy.
Well, it was like, yeah. So I was like, I thought it was sort of interesting, but I'm like, I'm not going to transcribe this at 1:00 in the morning and whatever. So I wake up and I write, and it's not hard. Like, I've done it so much, it's not hard, but it's still effort. It's work. It takes me an hour and a half to do.
I mean, it's kind of not to people at home. It's like writing a paper every day, like a term paper or something.
Yeah, exactly.
A short one, but
yeah, I mean, but
it has to be, like you said, people, if they're seeing pictures of dicks in your selfies, like they're gonna find errors and grammatical errors.
We have the account. We have the WI typos guy, right? So it's like, which at first you talk about impacting and affecting everything. At first I was like, hey, thanks, man. Like I'll go in and correct this, and that's how the internet works. And then it's just like, it's white noise. It's white noise because here's the news flash in terms of the reality of internet, reality of websites. We have so much money. We have to allocate that money. We have to hire the people, positions that are important. It's not like it was 10 years ago. We had a bigger staff and everything else. Copy editors aren't valued as much.
Yeah.
They just aren't. And that sucks. That's unfortunate. And
it's a lot of jobs like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like for podcasts, what we should have is we should have 3 podcast producers sitting here and engineers and doing it. But this is the
actors talk about headshot photography. Used to be this huge industry for photographers.
Now it's this.
Now you just go like, take it, send in auditions too. You just do them all from your cell phone, everything. From your cell phone.
So and like TV cameramen. I mean, they probably we do Ness and on the stage there, and they have robotic.
It's remote. I've done that
at
NECN. They have those.
Yeah.
And they it's so, dude. You feel like you're in the Hunger Games. You start talking, and this thing goes like.
You know what I hate with like the like you talking, and now they're like, okay, now you have to pivot.
Yeah.
Like this sounds a little weird. Anyway, but
I liked when last time you were on Nessun with Tom Caron. You had like your
my sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't scheduled to be on.
I just
like so what was weird. So I basically wasn't scheduled to be on, and they're like, "Oh, here are the topics." I'm like, "I'm not on. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I can't go home." I'm like, "Whatever." And so I go on and we make, "Hey, I'm back to school, Elon, blah blah blah." With this, so they want my birthday stuff, but I'm in the middle of that segment, and we go through the birthday stuff. And I look over at Jim Rice, right in the middle of it. And I know this wasn't the right thing to do. I'm like, I feel so stupid wearing this sweatshirt next to Jim Rice's like
nice
$5,000 suit. Yeah. Like, I had to say it. Like, I totally lost my train.
That's what we love about you, Rob. That's what we love about you.
That is the future of sports.
That's the upper echelon move.
Yeah. So, but So,
but that is honest to God. Like,
that really is.
From
our perspective,
not to ruin a good story, but that is what people like, because you're sitting at home and you're thinking it. You're like, if I was sitting there with Jim Rice and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, I'd probably say, and then you say it. And that's what I think people want more than anything right now, is to kind of see themselves in things and see them.
Is this reality TV though? Like a symptom of reality TV where we have to find all the behind
people like
the
the behind the scenes. Well, I was just talking to someone, because when Reamer left us, one of the holes that we have to, he has to be sitting in this chair.
Yeah, we got to get him in.
If Eric Lesser, state senator, approves.
Reamer has said he will do it. Yeah, but we don't know if Lesser.
Yeah. Well, I was like, so Lesser was on with Ed Harding. And it's not like I was tuning in, like waiting. I just saw it on Twitter like everything else. And I'm thinking, like, Reamer's in the background
with a clipboard.
Don't like this, like giving him talking points. I'm like, it is so weird.
It is weird, but we gave him a lot of credit for doing it. You know what I mean?
I think it's amazing. I think it's hard to do. I think he's the perfect age to do it.
A lot of people
Will brought that up, but I think it's really hard
I told him, and believe me, there was a lot of conversations. But I said to him, it's like, listen, whatever you feel passionate about, like, it's clear.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that should have hit home for what he said was, I didn't find myself wanting to talk about the sports stuff.
That's what we said. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, well, you wanted to talk about politics. All right, well,
That's
go do
it.
that. That's it.
That's it.
And that's, you know, this is what you teach people is that, hey, listen, follow your passion as long as you can, because ultimately you like to think that's going to make you do the best job, and that will lead to making money.
It's true.
You have to believe
That's
that,
what we
right?
gave him a lot of credit for last week, because we were like, you know, a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that.
Everyone
shit.
says it.
I gave
Very
that
few
speech to
people do
Josh
it.
Beckett, by the way, once.
Wow.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I was like, you know, you should be where you want to be, like, because you'll make the money.
Was he just like, thanks, bro?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
So that's something I wanted to ask. So what happens a lot of times with you is I'll just try and remember something that happened years ago in sports, and I'm trying to Google it, and one of your articles pops up, and then I'm reading it, and there's often like, so what is this? What's it like to be a beat reporter? Like you kind of briefly said it earlier. That's the hardest part, or maybe the worst part, is interviewing athletes.
Oh yeah,
Like difficult at least. So what's
it's just
is it just the hoops you got to jump through?
It's listen. I mean, you have to. I try to. They're all human beings, and so you try to treat them. Baseball, there's a lot of access, so it makes it a little bit easier to develop relationships. I think guys are more guarded now than ever before. I'll give you an example. So I go to JD Martinez yesterday. This happened yesterday. I go up to him. I'm like, hey, you know, you're working on, just give me 20 minutes for a podcast. Give me 20 minutes. And I literally said to him, I said, you can talk about anything you want. I don't care. Anything. You can talk about cooking. I don't care, because I'll find a way to make it interesting. And so it's like, 20 minutes, you know, this and that. I'm like, and you know, he had done the Section 10 podcast, so he really likes those guys. And I get that, you know, like if you know, so, but you did it for 40 minutes. This is 20 minutes. It's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, I said, I turned 50 a day ago. Like, I said, like, I don't, like, I'm not really into this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was like this. And, you know, I wasn't being, neither one of us were being assholes. It was this, but this comes back to talking like human beings. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to pretend like I have to, like, I rather right now, to be perfectly honest with you, do the podcast about how JD Martinez is banned from the Bradford show than actually have him on the Bradford show. And so let's just be honest. Like, you're making me jump through hoops.
Yeah.
I'm not really like into it. And I go to Jackie Bradley sitting right there. I said, he came on the podcast, and I have documented proof that he said he had fun. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I said, no, you said fun. And he's like, yeah, it was fun. And he goes, like, what did you talk about? And I'm like, oh, well, we talked about hair restoration. Because I'm trying to think of, like, I'm not going to bring up what we talked about, his contract, which we did, but we talked about, because I remember I did a podcast with Jackie remember he grew out his hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So he actually called me over. This was in 2014. Called me and said, I want you to interview me about, I'm letting out my hair. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So we talked about this on the most recent one. And I said, I'm like, well, you know, they want me, the station, at like the Awaken 180 thing, they came to me and said, hey, you want to do the hair restoration thing? I'm like, Jackie, I like, you got to help me. Like, you know, I helped you. Like, you got to help me. Do I need it? And so I said to JD, I'm like, this is what we talked about. We talked about hair restoration. And then he's like, oh, well, let me see. So JD starts talking about this. I'm like, this is the podcast.
Is the podcast.
This is what I'm talking about. So
20 minutes go by.
Yeah. And it was probably like 20 minutes of doing this. And so anyway, that's the part of it I'm like, I'm not thrilled about, because it's such a time suck.
And I mean, you said it. You're 50, and they're what, 28,
but
27?
We were talking about this last night at after the game with Will Fleming. We all went out, and we were talking about that. About, like, I don't feel that way yet. Like, I don't feel that I can't relate. Like, if if I stop to say they're half my age, but I don't feel that way because, and I don't like, oh my God, you see the drip that I'm wearing today?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't need to pretend that. It is what it is. So I don't feel that, but there is going to be a time where like, hey, you're 22 years old, I'm 70, and I'm going to try to relate to you. It's going to be it's not difficult now though.
Well, I just think I wouldn't even think to relate, but more to be like, you know so much more about life at 50 than you do at 26 or 25.
Well, I think there's definitely more of a I don't give a shit attitude, which helps.
Yeah.
And you, as long as you're respectful and professional and everything else, and you're not going to get along with everybody. That's what you have to understand. And I think that younger reporters, you see it. They go to journalism school. This is how you do it. You hold the notebook for some reason, even though you have the tape recorder, and you do all that. It's just understanding that these guys are human beings. They all come. There's 25 guys from 25 different upbringings. They didn't all come from Essex, Massachusetts. Yeah. They have all different personalities. He might be having a bad day. All of it. You have to factor in all of that.
That's very fair too.
Yeah. Definitely is.
I mean, I get that aspect of it. I just always think it's got to be such a weird. One of the things I didn't realize until I went to Fort Myers was like the beat reporter's life. Like I didn't like get it. You know what I mean?
You make it sound literally like it's really, really difficult.
I do feel like that. See, like I think maybe I've romanticized it a little bit.
But there's similar things to comedy. I think he sees parallels. And
yeah.
Well, I mean,
there's a grind aspect of it.
Yeah, there is, and I think you're right. I mean,
the guys that travel with the team too, like
yeah. So I guess like I used to
do that a lot, right?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed traveling, and now it's sort of like, you know, oh man, I didn't go to the West Coast. I'm like, oh, it was so awesome. Like going to my North Beverly Starbucks and just like chilling out, and I'm getting like 50 times more work done. But I think the exhausting thing is what we talked about before, which is separating yourself.
Yeah,
it's like the writers who don't understand that you have to separate yourself, that you can't just be like, I'm going to write this and everyone come read it. It's a 24-hour thing.
Yeah.
You're getting on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter and you're not engaging, you're not doing all this shit, then it's like you're not doing your job and you feel it. I mean, it's the same thing probably with comedians.
It is, yeah.
Where you're like, hey, I didn't do enough today to separate myself, you know?
It's true. Or you can feel it when you're like getting pulled back down, like you know what I mean. It's this weird sort of, you're like, oh, I gotta,
it might be imagined too.
I gotta do, yeah.
But you know what? This is like broadcasters. Broadcasters are the most insecure people around because they don't take time off. They do not take time off because they feel the next thing's around the corner.
I'm like that too.
Yeah, but
you know what? One of the coolest things that happened down there was I met Joe Castiglione.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like a huge fan of his, and so it was right before we went on with you guys.
Yeah.
He had the day off and he came down there anyway, which I couldn't even believe.
Yeah, they don't want to leave.
Yeah, and I'm like, Joe, you just made me think of it. I'm like, Joe Castiglione, and he goes, and I'm like, I go, man, I can't believe you have so many co-host this year. I was like, I love it when I'd listen to you alone or whatever. And he goes like, stand-up comedian. He's like, well, that's a tough job, you know. I don't know how you get up there and do that. That's unbelievable. Yeah, you're just up there all alone. I can't do my job alone. And he's giving me all these compliments, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you are the best.
Yeah. I love doing it with Joe. Like we did because we were doing a shitload of games on spring training. And it was funny because you get to the point with Joe where you know what buttons to push, which gets him a little bit little off like the straight and narrow. And it's, like if you bring up the 1979 Indians, or something like that.
His memory is unbelievable.
Yeah. Or like when I was, doing the marathon, he would default, how many miles today, Rob?
Yeah, Rob.
I don't know.
Last night he likes to point out nationality. We got 3 guys' names ending in a vowel.
Well, we joke because we don't really do it much anymore, but we have the 5th inning where we pop in the 5th inning, and Joe would say, so what are you working on for tomorrow? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like there's like half a game to go. So.
He's great. I like when him and Fleming have a joke or two here or there. He's just the best. I love that guy. So we have a couple segments before we'll let you go very soon.
Nah, man. Like, you know what? Cora canceled on me, so that was my only thing.
One thing about Castiglione I really love listening to him is he's always hard on slow guys. Not the fastest guy on the team, that's for sure.
We were also, it's great. Well, the thing about Joe is that the reactions are so genuine. Like, the Yankees can be 20 games out, and the Red Sox, it could be in first place. If the Yankees win, it impacts his whole day. Like, he has such this Red Sox-Yankees thing. It's crazy. And also, we were just talking about this last night, like, before the game. I said, Joe, we got to make a list of Team Joe guys. Like, it's the Team Joe guys. And Rich Hill is the captain of the team. Right?
Milton High.
Yeah, there you go.
You're ahead of me, Milton High.
Oh, great guy. But Joe has his guys, and that's
Rich Hill, Milton,
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
And so we were saying,
Class of 2000.
Remember Mike Carp?
Yeah.
Mike Carp.
Oh,
So
yeah, another guy.
I was doing. He was on Team Joe, because what happens is that Joe rents his house out in spring training to these guys, and then he befriends them, so they become Team Joe. Mike Carp hit a pinch hit walk-off grand slam. Or not a walk-off, but he pinch hit grand slam that won the game. And I was doing the game with him, and I told him yesterday, I said, Joe, I've seen you excited about a lot of things, but I've never seen you almost literally jump out of the broadcast. But it was nuts. Like,
He
that's
fell out of
Team
his
Joe.
chair last year during
And
one of
I
the
actually saw
broadcasts.
video. We have video of it, which he hasn't released.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is,
I was listening. I remember being like, Jesus.
and the thing is that it's, if you watch the video, like I said, yeah, of course it's funny,
a little
but I
scary.
gained an appreciation for him, because he like, it wasn't like him stumbling, he was down. I mean, he had flipped over. He was down on the ground, and if you listen to it, like, he does not skip a beat.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, you only hear a little something, and the other guy laughs a little bit.
Yeah,
like
Neverett. Yeah.
Neverett, who I loved, by the way. I
Yeah.
can't. Sorry, I forget his name, but he like giggled a little bit, and that was the only reason you heard like a little commotion and Joe kind of faded out a little bit. And I remember I was listening to it and being like, something just happened.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I wish, selfishly, we would love to get the video and put it up, but I get it. Like, get it.
He's just a gem, man. I love that guy. So, did you end up doing the hair restoration when you did that? When they offered you that?
No, does it look like it did it?
I don't know. Like, you're right on.
I'm
Right on the line.
verge.
So we have a segment on this show.
Yeah. Is it sponsored by the Harris?
We need it to be.
I'll do to get you guys money. I'll say anything.
Well, we're looking for a sponsor.
You guys aren't fat, so you can't do an Awaken 180. So, I mean, Lord Hobo, boom sauce.
Well, it's funny to me. Like I do like the New England stations, and I go down to like Pennsylvania, New York, Jersey. And it's like you can't be in broadcasting now without losing some weight and getting some hair work, or
erectile
your teeth,
dysfunction.
or your pillow makes you sweat.
Yeah.
It's like all like
welcome.
personal.
And
Lou Merloni's like, what kind of prostate cancer do you have? Well, if you have this kind.
Reverse mortgages.
Oh, yes. Which, by the way, this is a terrible segue. You bring up prostate cancer.
I know, yeah.
But they have the once a year, they come up to the booth. It was my most memorable maybe broadcast I've ever done in my life, and was when Michael Milken, I think he was the prostate cancer guy, but for some reason the two people linked with him this time was Tommy Lasorda and Paula Abdul.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So they both come up to the booth. So first of all, you're gonna get the selfie with Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
And I look at the selfie and I'm literally like in her hair. I'm like, I could not.
The only time.
Creeping, smelling,
It was
taking a deep breath.
I felt it was not good. Anyway, so that was also, and they play this clip every once in a while, where we're talking like here, and Tommy Lasorda's in the back. And so we're talking, and then Joe goes, "Oh, Tommy, what do you think about this kid Pedroia?" And I look back, and Joe can't see him. I look back, I'm like, "Oh no, he's asleep."
Oh,
He's
wow.
asleep. Yeah, he was sound asleep, and someone pushed him. It's like, Pedroia! Yeah, it was like Tommy Lasorda asleep on the broadcast.
That happens. It happens, and sometimes I'll be on. It hasn't happened in a while, but guys of a certain age, they'll just fall asleep
Are
on
you kidding me?
No, I've seen it. I'm looking out at audiences.
That can't be a good morale boost.
Yeah.
No, and it happened more like when you just do crappier shows at the beginning and like
weirder
free
gigs,
tickets.
probably,
Yeah,
right?
they're giving
Yeah.
people free tickets and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I remember, and I also like remembered just don't at the beginning I would point it out and try and make something out of it, and then I realized like just leave it. Just don't draw attention that you're putting
Yeah.
people to sleep in the crowd.
Do people like they don't hackle? Like, do people like legit hackle?
Oh yeah,
Really?
I don't get it. It's,
I mean, it's probably
certain
just
acts
people are
lend
liquored
themselves
up,
to
right?
it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one of the most, not on me. It was Kenny Capozzi was on stage at Capo, and it was total just. It was Labor Day, so we do that show Monday. It's normally not a lot of heckling, but it was Labor Day Monday, so people have been day drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
This guy came in, and it was like Kenny had a joke like, "Did you ever think about?" And that was it. Yeah. And the guy goes, "What?"
Really?
Yeah, like, and it was like everyone in the place was like, it was such an angry, like, what? And he was like, I was just gonna say, you ever think about kids going to school? Like, you know what I mean? It was so like, he was like, what am I getting heckled for right now? And it was such a, so I remember thinking like, wow, that was an aggressive heckle. And what's weird about it, I swear it has something to do with the moon or the stars, because I'll be in New Hampshire, a guy will be in South Boston, another guy will be in Springfield, and we'll all meet up at the end of the night, and we've all gotten heckled in our different places. And we all had really bad hecklers. It's like something with the psychology of everybody or something.
I find the whole thing like fascinating. Because I would Josh Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to know him because he always go down the Ortiz golf tournament, and so he had a show at Laugh Boston, and I went to it, and then after, and I can't remember the comedian, but he's like, they get off stage and they're talking about the 3-year process of forming this one joke.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, was like fascinating stuff. It was like I had one word wrong and finally I found the word.
Like that. It is.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of it. The longest I've ever spent on a joke is like, I mean, really, you'll sometimes do a joke for a year and a half or something, and then one night everything lines up and you come up with some new thing that really makes it even better. But as far as like working on jokes start to finish, I remember my closing joke with this girl reading out loud, that took like 6 or 7 months to work out.
Yeah.
And really, like, I could have scrapped it like 3 months in. It wasn't getting anywhere. But then I kept going with it.
When you hit it, did you know it?
Yeah.
Really?
When I hit, and it was this piece. It was like a missing piece, like that story. It was like this one joke, and someone gave me kind of a suggestion. I was like, oh, let me try that, and it just brought the whole thing together.
That's cool. Like, to see again, and going back to heckling. I mean, I guess the sports writer version of heckling is like Twitter.
Yeah.
Like all the time. It's the same thing with stories. I mean, it's like you have an idea, that's a good story. I mean, and when you hit that, when you nail that joke, when you finally nail that joke, you find that right word. Like I talk about, like, you're not going to get that satisfaction of writing a good story that you are anything. That must be the same sort of feeling.
Yeah. And it's the same thing probably too, when sometimes you have sort of a gauge. You're like, oh, this is going to work.
Yeah.
This could work.
Yeah.
And this is like a real stretch to get to work. But I might have it in me to make this work.
It sounds like, again, like all the stories that you write. Like this is a stretch. I have to write something.
Yeah.
This is a stretch. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like not yours. You get to put your impression on it, but then people get to do whatever they want with it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And luckily for me, I get to kind of set the whole thing. People think of the Red Sox as a part of them, as like their family, as their blood and stuff like that. So sometimes I think with sports, especially around here, when people disagree, it's like on this visceral level.
Well, don't criticize the Patriots.
Oh, I know.
Don't ever criticize.
I've even just done stuff on stage, jokes, offhanded. You can't really be too critical.
No, it's nuts. And I go back to, one of the eye-openings one for me was I think Kirk and Jerry had on Brady, and it was the first time. I think there was a story about Alex Guerrero in Boston Magazine or something like that. They brought it up. It was the first time Guerrero really had been brought up, and Brady goes on. He was great for like 40 minutes talking about Guerrero. and people were all over them. How dare you? Because it was a legitimate back and forth
Yeah,
conversation.
it was just a conversation.
And they were like, how dare you get into a conversation about that with Tom Brady? Just ask the questions and step aside.
It's true, though. If you're a comedian in Boston and you're bombing, you can just talk about how handsome Tom Brady is and get the crowd back on your side, and like kind of you just go, man, Tom Brady's handsome. I'm not gay, but if I was, oh man, and then they're like, I like this guy.
See, I was just going to use Alex Reamer analogy there too, and then you brought the gay thing.
I know.
And now it feels like I was going in a different direction. But that was the thing with Alex that I gave him tremendous amount of credit for, to be able to power through some of the things that he had to power through was insane.
That's one of the things I like about him too.
Right.
And
I mean, that's how we both first got onto him, right? The Tom Brady pissant.
the pissant stuff, and just, but I got to admit, he's younger than me and everything. I was like, this guy is like, I can learn a thing or two from Alex Reamer, you know, like about his stick-to-itness and
you embrace the hate to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I think that you guys know, it's like you want to embrace 50% of the hate.
Yeah.
You want to embrace 50% of the love, hopefully.
Yeah.
If you get 100%
don't believe
of
the
hate,
hype.
it doesn't really work.
Good or bad. Try not to believe too much don't believe your rave reviews. Don't believe your terrible reviews.
What Bill Belichick says.
That's all that Belichick stuff.
I don't know if you listen really close, you can hear what Bill Belichick is saying. That's another one of my pet peeves. No, you can't. He's just not saying anything.
I have to pee so bad, but I want to introduce this segment,
All right,
then I'm going to take a
Then we'll
quick pee.
decide real quick.
So we do a segment every week on this show called Just Shave It, Bro, where we find a person. Usually it's a mugshot, but I saw this guy
for a while, but I thought maybe we shouldn't keep putting criminals up.
Yeah.
Do a live show.
And I saw this guy last night on My Girlfriend Loves the Real Housewives. So I saw this guy. I think that one on the bottom left is like from last night's show. And I think he might be a Just Shave. So, Paul, can you just kind of explain what we mean by Just Shave It, Bro?
Basically, it almost feels like we're making fun of people, but what we're really trying to do is really just help people out. It's some people hang on just a little bit too long for it's almost like a personal maintenance thing.
Right.
Like you have to decide. It's really like to empower people. That's like really where we come at it from. But this guy, we like to do kind of borderline cases where you could say like, hey, it's pretty good. I see what he's doing. He has to grow up the top a little bit more. Yeah. It's definitely a strategic haircut where he's picking and choosing where things are. But I think I would keep this.
You would?
I think I would keep it.
Dude, he's like, he is, to me, I look at him and he is a classic hair restoration candidate. Like, so my thing with the hair restoration is that I like sort of shaving my head down, like my hair down. If you get hair restoration, like you don't do that, I don't think, right?
You need special haircuts from them, and even if
you like have to sort of grow it out to sort of show what you've bought.
Yeah.
But this guy has no problem growing it out. But like, if he got hair restoration, like this is all filling in. I don't think that if he shaves his head, that's going to be a good look for him.
See, that's the thing we always say. Like, you have to have a certain type of face, and not everyone has it. It's a little like some people almost look like a baby as soon as you shave your head.
Yeah. Well, look at the whole thing. It's I don't know. There's a little too much like Orange County going on there with you have the side. So obviously he's very proud of his sideburns. That's another part of this. Very proud of his teeth.
Yeah.
Mormon.
Now you had other pictures of him, right, where he had a goatee, a fuller goatee.
Yeah, he does a lot of things, like the sideburns.
He does a lot.
He does a lot of
it's
stuff.
a lot of face accoutrement. I think like there's a lot like the sideburns.
When you think of that word, what do you think of?
Accoutrement?
Probably not facial accoutrement.
No, I think of one thing. You ever see Winnebago Man?
Oh. Dude.
Right?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I constantly, on sets, I always channel him.
That's it. I mean, like how can you not think of that when you hear that word?
When I'm shooting commercials, I always say, I don't want to hear any more shit from anyone, and that includes me.
So you think this is a good case for hair restoration?
I think this guy.
He is the guy.
He is the guy. He is the hair restoration guy. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it because he clearly wants to have hair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily want to have hair.
That's how I feel too.
But he wants to have hair, and he's going to get hair if he just goes and buys some.
And he's going into law, so they say your appearance matters as a lawyer.
And I think you look harder if you have a shaved head.
Look at that one. Like, so the straight on, that's a bad look for him.
Yeah.
Because
I knew Bradford would be good at this segment.
Oh man, this is the hair. Believe me, I've been thinking a lot about hair restoration lately. I've been talking to JD Martinez and Jackie Bradley, and now we're getting to it. But it's the straight on thing is not a good look for him. It's, you know what? It's almost like a much less distinctive version of Rob Corddry's little thing that came
Peninsula.
out. Well, yeah.
That's an island. See, I'm thinking maybe he had some plugs, and these are failing, dying plugs on top.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's a terrible look too. Plugs are just
that'll happen.
That's the worst.
There's some people in show business where you get really
were you at you should at this guy, so send him the clip.
We probably should.
I mean, what do you have to lose? What's he gonna hate you? I mean,
exactly.
Who cares?
That's true. We should do that.
It does look like he's doing something. So it looks it's all right.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that might just be like
it's tough. It's one of the tough things. I'm losing a little bit in the back, and it was like a come to Jesus moment when it happened. When you first notice it in like the CBS camera, you look up and you're like, "Who's that? Oh my God, that's me." Yeah, so we talked. We a little bit of a.
Nah, it's nothing crazy at all.
There's something there.
Because that's something like Rogaine, right? I mean, that's I can't like smother my head with Rogaine and expect to grow an afro out of my
But I'm
forehead.
afraid. See, my thing with Rogaine is, I'm like, if it makes hair grow fast, it probably makes everything grow fast. So if there's any like tumors or blood clots or any weird things in there, I'm just pouring Miracle Grow on that.
Yeah. So if you listen to the commercials, that's what they say. You say, "We'll grow hair, but you'll have to put up with the tumors." Yeah.
That's like my mindset.
But you never know that.
Yeah, I never even think of that. I'm just like, I did use that for a little while, and I did have immediate results.
Yeah.
Did you?
They say that's the only spot it really works.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't sculpt your hairline again with it.
No,
but so when I do,
I remember the old pitcher Larry Anderson did a bit one time where, remember the spray on stuff?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. When I do commercials, they cover that.
Do they really?
Yeah. When I do commercials and movies, they spray a little. And it's like, this is how I found out it's even there. Yeah. So I'm shooting a commercial. I'm sitting in the set. I'm just like, they're setting up cameras and stuff. And I'm just like kind of sitting there waiting. And I'm listening to two crew members set up the shot behind me. Yeah. And I hear one of the guys go like, move it a little bit to the left. It's directly on his bald spot. Right? No. And I'm like, bald spot?
Talking about me?
And then next commercial, the makeup artist is like 80, and she's like, "I'm just gonna give you a little bit of this." And she brings up, she goes, "You should take a picture of this so you can buy some for yourself." And she sprays it on the little dot on the top of my head. But then I'm in a movie, which is like the biggest thing I've ever been in.
Which movie?
It's called The Sleepover. It'll be out next year.
Who's in it?
Ken Marino and Malin Ackerman,
I know them.
Yeah. And it's a teen movie, like a kids movie, but they're the parents. I only have a very small part, like 4 lines.
Well, that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff.
It's awesome.
So I learned something on that shoot is that because I was like, "Oh, there's the bald spray," and she goes, "No, we spray this on everybody, even the women." Because we just don't, it just doesn't look good to have like scalp on camera. So like you'll know, now I can't stop seeing it and everything. So I was watching Mindhunters, on Netflix. Yeah. I'm like, this guy's got tons of it in his hair. Tons. So now I see it in everything.
I didn't even know they made it anymore. Because like I said, like the Larry Anderson thing was he did Eddie Munster.
Oh yeah.
So basically he had it like go down here and then like do like a thing.
No, you can't. It has to be like it can only just cover what's peeking through. It can't completely cover.
I kind of want to go out and get some right now. Just like show up at the park one day.
JD Martinez is like, you know what? You know what, Rob? I will do that interview.
You could have been on the podcast and we could have talked about this for 20 minutes.
This could be you right now.
I so want to do like that's.
Is that true, by the way, what they say about him all the time? Is that his work ethic is so strong? JD Martinez.
Yeah. I think he really likes hitting.
People are like, I saw him on the plane at 2 a.m. Looking, he was sitting on the floor of the plane.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe he probably does have some semblance of life, but
Yeah.
I think he really enjoys it. Like, this is what he likes doing, and which is cool. Like,
It is super
It
cool.
goes back to, sort of you follow your passion. I think he likes talking about it with other people too.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so when I initially was like, hey, let's do a podcast, but you never like want to go in and say, let's do a podcast about your contract. You want to get there, but no, let's talk about hitting, and say everyone wants to talk about hitting. Like, okay, talk about anything you want. I don't care anything, because honestly, like, I know that Nick Fryer is
He's great.
Yeah, well, you love everybody though.
Love Nick Fryer.
So Nick is he's Celtics podcast or an NBA podcast, and he was having a hard time getting the Celtics guys. I said, go Mookie. When I did Mookie, the last 5 minutes was talking about Kevin Durant, and his whole voice changed. He loved it. Talk to him solely about basketball. Like, that would get listened to as more than,
I like it when he talks about bowling.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Is like that, and I do think that there's like you should keep striving for that.
I'm going to. People bring it up all the time. He's got a bowling alley in his house up here.
He does?
Like, I know that.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
I saw him on something bowling related, because he mixes into, like, you'll be watching a bowling tournament on YouTube. I watch pro tournaments and stuff. He's bowled in a few of them.
Oh yeah.
And it's like so funny because it's just all these dudes, and the tournaments are weird because there are these pro bowlers that you recognize, and then there's some dudes who just kind of made it in.
Yeah.
And then here comes Mookie Betts, and he's dressed like they all are. He's got a little bald spot too that kind of makes him look a little more like a human being.
Well, that was the thing. You talk about bald spots. So like, he's clearly secure. He shaved his head a little bit more recently, but Pedroia is the guy. Pedroia was going the wrong way early on.
Yeah.
And it's like, whatever, man. Like, I think he came to grips with it because my company kept going, hey, get Pedroia to do a hair restoration. Yeah,
he was doing stuff. He was doing something.
Think so?
Well, I mean, people accuse me of it all the time. And I've never done anything, but people, like, if there's a picture or something of my own father was like, you doing something with the Honda commercial? Your hair looks thick. You doing something with it? I'm like, yeah, they spray paint on it. That's what I'm doing with it. And it's gone the second I get in my car.
He couldn't, because it never.
Yeah. I always thought the baseball cap was a big offender. Like, wearing a baseball cap, it's supposed to be not good for that spot. The crown spot. I know it's Christian Vasquez last night. See, when you start to get one, you see it. I'll even see it on, like, my friends. Like, if my friend's got a kid and I'm like, he's gonna have it. I'm like seeing the beginnings of it.
Well, that leads us to why people wear visors, because, like, prevents the bald spot. But I'm like, why do people wear visors? It's the nuttiest thing.
I know.
It's purely an accoutrement. But
that's what I asked the last makeup lady. I said, what can I do to, like, prevent this? And she goes, you wear a lot of baseball caps? And I said, yeah.
Oh, really?
And she was like, that'll kind of what it does is it mats your hair down and kind of,
really?
It'll just draw attention to it.
Like an old wives' tale.
I don't know if it necessarily causes baldness. I think it just draws attention to baldness.
Flattens your head.
Yeah, it flattens it out.
Oscar Gamble never heeded that advice.
Makes like a part. Yeah. Part back
if
there.
If you're combing it, just shave it. Like, if we did this exercise,
that's what we do. That's why we do it.
Yeah,
it's a service segment.
Yeah, just shave it. Like,
because there's a guy in front of me. Speaking of Fenway Park, there's a guy in front of me at the game a couple weeks ago, and it was just the breeze is blowing, and his comb over comes off, and I'm behind him, right? So I'm behind him, and I'm watching him do this, like, he's like feeling for it and and he's trying to be casual about it, and it's just like this whole apparatus.
Why?
Exactly. You don't need to do that to yourself.
Let it go. Like, this is, I think that what we've come
just shave it.
We've like come to, like, people in this day and age have to be secure in just walking down the street in whatever
you should be.
Of, like, if you're gonna trip and your comb over goes flying and people are videoing it and posting it on social media, just own it. Just say, hey, here it is. You probably can make some money in a hair restoration or be like comb over guy.
Professional broadcaster Rob Bradford wrapping it all in a nice knot.
That's what it is.
Do you have? So
do.
we have one more segment. This is our final segment every
nice.
week. It's called Scratch Ticket.
Oh, nice.
We just give the fans watching an opportunity to watch someone become rich in real time.
Well, the weird thing is, though, I'll do it, but then I'll have to run to my meeting because I'm a gamble holic.
Are you really though?
No, but I had you going for a second.
I was just thinking that. I was like, that's
we
one
probably
bit of
should've.
research I didn't do. And I'm running it through. I'm like, he is friends with Mutt.
that was number 6, right?
Like, this is like when I do podcasts and they're like, now we do our tequila shot that we did at the end, and I'm like, sorry, yeah. And they're like,
all right,
oh, so
let's get rich.
the rule is if we win, what is it?
Oh, do I?
I don't remember anymore because we never win.
It's we never win anything, but if we win more than 50 grand, we smash all the
everything.
equipment.
Oh, really?
No, 500 grand.
Yeah,
So-
maybe 500, not 50. Let's not
So what do I
50.
do? I just like
You scratch it, and a
just
lot of
roll
times
for
we
you.
do plugs while we do this.
Yeah, what do you
What do you have? You have 2 books from 2004, 2008. Mike Lowell.
listen. If you want to buy a book for 10 cents on Amazon, Chasing Steinbrenner is the
Chasing
one to do.
Steinbrenner from 04.
Yeah, 03 season.
It was the law that you had to write a book in 04, right? That was like
No,
sports writer
well,
law.
what happened was, so I was at the Lowell Sun, and I'm like, I like the people there, but like, how am I ever going to get out of here? And I got to do something. I wanted to write a book. I knew JP Ricciardi, the old Toronto GM, and I said, hey, here's an idea. I'll follow you around for a season. And Theo, that was Theo's first year, so he was hot. He was 28 year. I didn't know him at all. And so JP said, I'll do it. And so I called Theo, cold called him, and said, hey, JP said he'll do this. Would you do it? And then he's like, I'll do it out of favor to JP. So I did this book, and I'm like, I'm going to make $1 million off of it. I had no idea that Moneyball was basically was being released the year before. So
You had the right idea.
yeah, it was the cult classic version of Moneyball. But doing a book with an athlete like I did with Mike Lowell, it's a lot easier.
That's pretty cool. Mike Lowell. Always liked Mike Lowell.
Listen, we did the whole book, like 80% of the book in 2 4-hour sittings in his guidance counselor office. Like,
wow.
He was a machine. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
He was sort of a lady's favorite before Benny. He was like the girl's
100%.
favorite.
Yeah.
My chick never stops talking about Ben attending.
Really?
How attractive she
That's
is.
true.
Yeah.
You
Is
tell
that what
me
the
if I
girls
win.
talk about? Wow. First of all, you didn't even scratch the winning numbers,
I didn't?
man. It's just you're definitely not a gambling addict.
No. Where's the winning number?
Those two little dots right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
You just scratched all the prizes. We never win anything. All right, so the 2 numbers are 3 and 7.
did I win?
We lost. We won nothing.
Oh. You know what?
But we could have won. See, I never actually do.
Really? So we could have won.
We could have won $100,000 if we had had
the
13.
sport of gambling was a real winner today, right?
Sport
It's
of
the state of
gambling win.
Massachusetts. They need the money.
They do. I feel like I got a pothole paved today. So
At $2.
yeah, it's good.
Well, thank you so much for doing the show. You're our very
amazing.
first guest
Very first,
ever.
yeah.
So was there a lot of tech? First of all, I apologize that I was late.
No.
It was. I apologize, but
we went long too, so we apologize for keeping
no,
it.
it wasn't. So once I got that text.
Thanks, AC. Thanks,
there
Coach.
You go, there you go. Not a coincidence. Was there a lot?
Muchas
Was there
gracias.
a lot going on here? Like you had to, if you have a guest, you have to do a lot.
Well,
of
we
things.
did it like
This is a nice setup. This is a nice studio.
It is like set up like a studio. I didn't do that purposely.
It's
I
nice,
did this
though.
so me and my girlfriend can coexist. I can play a video game while she watches TV. And I was
Really?
like, this is kind of like a studio.
Really?
yeah. And then I was doing me and Paul have been friends for years.
Yeah.
So I was doing my other podcast that I just do in my car when I'm driving to gigs and stuff. And Paul was like, why don't we do
I've been
some of the
on-
video? Paul's an audio.
You're
I've been
just
on
doing
him
like
doing
this,
video
talking
stuff.
into a recording.
Yeah.
Really?
I still do it all the time. I've been doing it for years. And Paul's like an engineer and he knows all this great stuff. So he was like, let's do something on camera. And we just sort
It's
of.
an awesome setup. I mean, this is one of the biggest challenges. We talk about separating biggest challenge is technology. And you wouldn't think that. I work at a radio station, but it is.
Yeah.
And I finally got something where like I can have two, like I don't have to be doing this.
Oh yeah.
But
you have like a Zoom H4n type.
it's just like it's like a box. It has 4 mics coming out of it, whatever.
Wow.
But it's fine. It's basically I sit in the dugout. I can do it. So you saw.
Oh yeah, I've seen the guys hold them.
Yeah. So at Twin Peaks, we did when Rick Shaw's, we just put it in the middle and 2 people. But at Twin Peaks, we have the whole engineer and setup and everything else. But this is the challenge of the podcast thing. I'm inspired by you guys to do something like good. Where this is a good setup.
Yeah,
man.
it's pretty. I mean, like all the credit goes to Paul. We were talking about at the beginning of the show, but he set up an amazing thing here. We're kind of tweaking it every week. That's why we finally felt ready to have a guest in.
Yeah,
because I think we're just like our 35th week or 36th week.
Really,
and.
The first 30 were almost, I won't say unlistenable, but it's a new show now. It really is.
Well, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's me. Like I've had some brutal ones, and it sucks because you want to do it, whether you might have the availability, but not the technology, whatever.
Yeah.
I just look forward to you're going to have the movie poster like that. Cause that's one of the things I saw, like Mike Lombardi on Nesson last night doing from his den, and they always have the book, like the book in the background. Yeah, so now you guys will have the movie poster.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
We get it perfectly framed.
If nothing, you have like that Boston's Best Comedian. You have to have something here.
Yeah, you're a smart guy, man.
I'll take it down when you're gone, but I'll put it up before the show.
This is why you're the future.
I am the future of sports, not of sports.
You think Wiggy? By the way, you have to know what it's like to be stoned on a Sunday morning and unexpectedly hear your voice come out of your favorite radio station, and then hear Rob Bradford goes, Wiki, it sounds like Noonan wants to take you out to the woodshed. Yeah. And then I'm like, tight end of the Patriots, Jermaine Wiggins has beef with me.
And he's like, take it in the woodshed? No, out to the woodshed.
He's like, well, we don't have woodsheds back. I was like, oh, shit.
One of the funniest things, and I actually had people text me, say, that's the funniest thing I've heard in forever, was when we were doing like the taunting of the Little Leaguers. And he goes, and like Wiggy, we did in Essex, we did the be a pitcher, not a belly itcher, and be a batter, not a broken ladder. What did you do in East Boston? Like, swing, get the bat off your shoulder, bitch. I'm like, and he said it with such a straight face. I'm like, oh, this is Wiggy. It's funny because I did not like Wiggy at first, not from the radio, but because my first introduction to Wiggy was I coached him in the media hockey game at Fenway Park. So I was the coach, and he was the typical not pickup, but like rec league guy who was the asshole who took it way too serious. These poor weathermen driving down from Bangor, Maine to play in the Fenway Park. They're like, get that guy off the ice. He sucks. What do we just totally taking over? And I'm sitting there with my fedora on trying to play coach. I'm like, this guy is an asshole. This guy's an asshole. And then I got into a big beef with him, on Ness, and this big back and forth. I'm like, but then we started doing the radio. Actually, we took a private jet to the Super Bowl, and I was with him then. And the great thing I love about it, this is what he is.
Yeah,
and he is, and he is an ideas guy. He's full of ideas.
He is. He's fun. I didn't take a shine to him immediately because I was just like, I think I was saying to Paul, I think he just sounds like, because he's from here, he sounds like every guy that kicked your ass when you were a theater kid growing up in Massachusetts. Yeah. So at first I was kind of like, man, this guy's just screaming at me about Russell Westbrook, But yeah, it's exactly like you said.
He definitely flips switch. It's because when we were playing that basketball game, and I loved it, man. I love talking shit. I love the whole Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather stuff leading into it, but when we started playing, because I'm like, he's gonna be sucking wind and whatever. when he started playing, you guys watch The
watched
Office?
it.
You ever watch The Office where they're at the cookout and Stanley runs that gym in the sumo outfit?
Yeah.
Like that's I've never seen a look in that guy's like I saw in
That was
guy's
when he
eyes.
turned on like the game
That's a
for beast
professional
mode.
athlete.
I
That's
believe.
what it was.
That's a
Like
professional
I was like, I'm like, yo, Wiggy, I'm gonna dribble around the perimeter and tie. And like it was, I knew it was over. I mean, it was over.
That's what the athletes call beast mode.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Jim Florentine
We
hates
don't
that beast mode.
we don't really have that for sports reporters. We have the media game tomorrow, but
I was just gonna say, media game tomorrow.
Yeah,
Is that
I gotta-
open to the public?
yeah,
Hey.
show up. Gate D 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, 8:30 a.m. I don't know if I can make
Yeah,
that.
well, that's why I said, like no one's gonna show up at 8:30 in the morning, but it's yeah.
Is
Typically,
Chris Cotillo playing shortstop? Cotillo.
Oh,
Chris Cotillo playing shortstop.
he is. I would. Yeah. Well, I don't know where he's playing, but I usually pitch, and I say I'm never more sore after I play and pitch in that game. I do marathons, whatever, because you're doing something that's unnatural, and
Yeah.
you're trying to throw as hard as you can. But it's cool, man. It's like you do it Fenway, you do it Yankee Stadium. It's a cool thing.
Give you a lot of credit for training for that marathon down in Florida. It was
I did.
I did shitty runs down there though, and he was like doing 16 miles in the mornings.
Yeah, but it was one long run, one time in a week. I did shitty training. It was. I did just enough in Awaken 180. I mean, this was the biggest difference. Like doing it 50 pounds lighter, I was like, okay, I was coherent when I was running.
Yeah.
So yeah, Florida is a whole nother. I'm psyched to see you back down there. You're coming down, right?
You gotta
Come
figure
on.
something out.
We're gonna be much more organized with everything next
All
year.
right.
We're gonna do. It's gonna
I had a
be whole
blast. It was
scene.
it was like one of the most
Yeah.
fun times. I made friends with Usher at JetBlue like day one. This
Oh,
old guy,
yeah.
and I watched every
What a
game
shock.
with him.
The old guy and old Usher?
He was in an old Usher at
Yeah,
JetBlue Park.
yeah.
But I sat and watched almost like, I don't know, 9 games with this guy or
Really?
something, a bunch of baseball games, and he still texts me on holidays now. How you doing up there, Will? I text him back, Ken, I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. We're organized. I want to do a podcast. I want to do one a week at Twin Peaks, and Alex Spear was ridiculing me for it. It's like, do it somewhere that doesn't demean women.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, we had some people are hard
but
on Twin Peaks. Good food, though.
It's a sports bar to me. It's not.
It wasn't that crazy of a.
Nah.
He's got a new book, right, Alex?
Yeah. Excellent book. Excellent.
Homegrown?
Homegrown. It was. Yes. There you go.
Available now?
Yeah. Exactly.
Stat Masterson?
Yeah, it's Alex. If WEI, I've said this, WEI.com would have folded in the first year if it wasn't for Alex.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's just like an insane work ethic and intelligence and awesome. This awesome guy. So
Well, Entercom is nothing if not loyal.
I refrain comment. I refrain comment.
Well, the whole radio business is really brutal. It's really cutthroat,
Yeah,
right?
it's everything. I mean, like everybody who says they leave and then I got big things coming and.
Well, it's always, I mean, in every state, everywhere, you always hear that when every time I'm a guest on something, it's like commercial break. The guy starts talking about like, sorry, I'm in a bad mood. I'm going through contract
but
negotiations.
you guys probably would be like, what a great job, right? 4 hours a day talking sports.
I used to love going into, I would love that. I used to love going into the Maddie and Nikki show on AAF, their afternoon drive show.
Yeah.
I used to love doing it.
Well,
It
how
was
come you
just-
aren't in the Greg Hill thing going? Why don't you get?
I know Nick. And I know
what's going on?
I know Stiz real well too. I don't know. I've put out some feelers.
Listen, this is just a matter of time. Believe me, they just had a Bruin in for an hour in studio.
Oh, yeah.
and a lawyer in today.
Yeah,
so.
that's the thing. I'm either first guest, like first day, like try it out, work out the kinks, or I'm like on the way out guest, where it's like
if we had a couple more shows, you guys, we would have had a crossover with this podcast with you guys and
I know. I was
Reamer
thinking
and
it was
Wiggy and Bradford
it was
show.
feeling like that was that was a time and a place.
You got to try. Listen, you got to try stuff, man.
I know, we're working on it.
I don't think that we try stuff enough, and hopefully we're on our way to trying new things. So it's good. But you guys got it rolling. This is awesome.
Do you have fun today?
Oh,
I'm going to leverage this to get JD Martinez on next. Bradfro had a good time.
Bradfro.
Ask him. He had fun.
Talk about whatever you
did,
want.
like you do. We're going to give you a forum to respond to the Bradfo show banning JD Martinez podcast. But yeah. So you should, like, this is, first of all, you have the best chair in the business. This is no lie. And
right.
And now, I mean, obviously Reamer's coming in next, right? Reamer has to be.
I think so. He's gonna have to be the next guest.
Great.
We got to get him soon before he gets deep into politics.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I said,
Because he's just gonna get
think about, God bless you, Alex. But like, I told him this, like, you have an election coming. This is the ultimate, you're putting all your chips to the table. If Eric Lesser, who I'm sure has a great platform, loses his election, it's state senator in Western Mass. Like, what is Alex Reamer doing?
I guess he goes right back, right? What do you think? You think he could?
That's the moral of the story, is that, he's talented enough, he can come back and do anything.
I think Reamer will do fine no matter what he does. I was a little sad. Like, I'm happy for
You're
the
sad
guy.
for yourself.
I was sad for myself as a fan of his sport.
Give me your power rankings. I know that, I don't know if you have like time constraints.
Number
for the podcast.
one.
Oh, no. I'm off the table. So give me the power rankings of if you have, like, you're in the car.
I'm in the car. Who am I happy to hear?
It's always weekend people for Will. I can definitely say
I do. I like the people. First of all, one of my favorite types of sports radio is like the lone, like Mud at Night, the lone guy.
I heard you say this.
The lone guy, like, his sleep, just taking calls. Because those are the type of I like a guy. I like stand up. I like solo podcasts. There's something about just one man against it that I always.
So when you're doing it, so clearly I'm not viewed as a radio guy, but I'm viewed as the guy who will do radio. I'm available for mediocrity. So like, okay, we need someone to do this 3 to 7 shift on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's fine. So go get them. You're by yourself. And when you're doing it, it's like, there's obviously, if there's nothing, you do not want to feel like you're talking in circles. And I hear, like, the people you're talking about, you can feel it when they're talking in circles.
Definitely.
But there is an empowerment of, like, I am just screaming into this microphone. And I remember, like, they would give me shit, like, oh, that's just not how you sound. That's not how you sound in person. Yeah, it is. It's how I sound when I have to do a radio show by myself, like, screaming about something.
Yeah, people take on this sort of.
Well, you do what you have to do.
It's like a preacherness or something.
It's not. I'm not like trying to. If I was doing the Joe radio voice or something, like, that wouldn't be me.
Yeah. No.
But it was, this is a different, I talk differently if I'm going through a 4-hour baseball game than I would be. I have to keep your attention. And
see, when I was on with you though in TC down in, we did one inning on
the chorus.
It was so cool. I immediately was put at ease by that. Like, I walked into that kind of like, all right, here I go. I'm going to do an inning of a spring training game. It's kind of like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And like, here we go, sports broadcasting. And you were immediately like, so Will, like, what's up with your shirt? Like, it's got your name on it. We both do that. And and I was immediately like, oh yeah, I'm just. Well, I went back into comedian mode.
But it's like, I'm always defaulting to, like, how is that person? It doesn't, because if they don't feel comfortable, if they're talking about shit that they don't want to talk about, like, what good is it? And to have these people come in to a radio show and you're grilling them and you're going down the list of questions because you're on a sports radio station, like, what good is that? And it comes back to what you guys were saying. Like, what do people want to listen to? They rather listen to why we make shirts with our names on them rather than, oh my goodness, Gorky Hernandez. Like, you know how he got his first name? I've told this story 15,000 times. So.
And they can get that themselves now too. A lot of people do their own little independent research of stuff, and they know.
One thing I don't do, and people probably everyone I do it with probably hates. I'd never keep score of a game. Yeah. And so I'm doing the broadcast, and they're notes and diligently. Like, I got my Wikipedia page, I got my Twitter handles. If I have to look something up, I'll go to Baseball Reference, whatever. Like. That's what I think people don't like. It's not like the old days.
That's a big.
I don't have to cut box scores out and paste them on a notebook.
Is that a flex? Is that like a reporter flex?
Yeah.
Like I keep score with a pencil.
Yeah, it's like, like I said, when people
I'm a
go
baseball
up and interview
guy.
and they have like the notebook with the tape recorder, like, dude, your tape recorder, you're going to transcribe this.
So notebooks for show.
No, every once in a while, like I can remember when he said this at a certain time. It's because they teach you paid a lot of money to go to journalism school. That's how it is. And the keeping score, some people's mind works that way.
Yeah.
Like Josh Lewin, who's on, like his mind, I get to know him this year. It's crazy. Like his mind just works a different way in terms of just siphoning unbelievable amounts of information. Whereas my mind does not work that way. My mind is like, hey, listen, that just happened. I just had a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's what people like about it, and that's what people like about the different personalities. It's all good,
Yeah.
So my power rankings,
Yes.
excluding I guess you and Reamer, because Reamer's out of the biz now. But I would have put.
You could put Reamer number one.
I'll put Reamer number one. Because he could still come back. You're not. You would have been number one. Reamer number two. So you are in it. 1, 2. Then I think I would have to go Rich Keefe. He makes me laugh.
I like Rich.
And then I really like
Keys got you. That's what
Keys.
That's what got you.
I like I like when he said the baseball team is dead. That made me laugh. The baseball team.
See, what you got to do now, what you have to do, now all that's missing is saying, I really like the Dork podcast, right?
The Dork podcast.
You love the Dork podcast?
I do. I subscribe to the Dork podcast.
Okay, so there you go.
I saw him. I got starstruck. I saw him at the old... I saw him in the hallway at the old Entercom.
You did? You
and
got starstruck?
I got a little starstruck.
Did you really?
Twice at Entercom, I saw Lou Merlone, who I've met a couple times since then.
Yeah.
But I met him it was like I was getting a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And it was like being at Warner Brothers and like Bugs Bunny walks in and he's like, "Hey, you like carrots?" You know what I mean? Like I was like, Lou Merlone's here, like getting coffee, just like me.
Wow, like, who knew? Who knew?
I know, I'm a total cheeseball.
Well,
I'm one of those guys. I meet WBZ like traffic reporters, and I'm like, Kevin Brennan.
But listen, I mean, and then what you have to do is you have to leverage it. You have to get them on the podcast.
I know. Well, that was the thing. We wanted to make sure everything was like really good until we started having people on.
He had to teach me how to do this too.
It's good. It's good.
We're getting it.
Well, yeah, no, it's the whole thing is.
But I want to give Brian Barrett, and I love Patrick Gilroy too.
Oh, nice. And I'll say this, like those are two good examples of guys who are just working their ass off. I mean, just working their ass off. I mean, Patrick's been in this business forever, and he's obviously had to go sell lollipops, which is the natural progression.
Yeah.
But he's staying in the business. He's working his ass off. Brian, same thing.
Do you know Danny Picard?
Yeah,
he's a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, well he must live around here.
He lives
somewhere.
right down the street.
Right, I was gonna say, I was driving here. Yeah,
he's sort of their ilk too, and he's doing his own thing and does really well.
Yeah.
And I go on his shows all the time, and he's another guy I really love.
Yeah, and he was again just like for Danny to do that podcast, to take ownership and to invest in it and to build it and everything else. It's not just like, here, give me a 4-hour radio show and everyone come listen to it. And that's what we have to get our head around, by the way. Everybody is that we can't just do 4-hour radio shows anymore and expect people like, hey, you know what? I'm going to hang in there for all 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because no, they're going to be here. They're going to be in the Will Noonan Show. They're going to be like, there are other places to go. That's what they have to get their head around. And I think that those are good examples. I'm glad that you are surfacing them. I'm also glad you said that Rich Keefe, you were starstruck by him.
I was in a hallway.
Yes.
And I think he caught it and was like, "Whoa, like, what is this weirdo looking at?"
No, it's good. It's good. He's part of Pod Combination Station, which is our podcast initiative.
Oh, all
Tell
right.
me what you guys think of this, okay? This is what we're trying to do, right? So when we did podcasts before, it was always, like I said, it was like you gotta have to on air people.
I was on some of those, yeah.
Right. So we do the podcast, it's dropped, the talent, it's in their contracts, digital commitments, there it is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at them like, let's do a community of podcasts. So we have like 5 or 6 of them. And the whole idea is, yeah, you have the podcast, but you have social media and you have back and forth, and it's the community. And also, by the way, we've been battling a perception thing at EI. I don't know if you know about this, but it's almost like a vertical off of EI, which is, hey, this is a fun place to be, right?
Yeah.
So we have mine. We have, like I mentioned, Nick Fryer's the basketball one, 5 Out. We have Off Day, which is a football one. We have Lucy and Elaine Show, and we have Dork, the Dork podcast. And so the whole idea is we have this other community.
No, it's good.
With the EI, right?
When I saw that Lucy
and Elaine,
when I saw Lucy starting to put up the clips of them, I was like, this is a good idea.
Well, we have the Twitter race, and like, this isn't fair.
It's a really good idea to have Lucy. I mean, Lucy is really good on, and I've never met her or anything, but she's really good on Dale and Keefe when she's on. And like, I always think, I'm like, she's good. Like, she's good on air. And I listen to their podcast, and I actually listen to it. I'm not like skipping through it. I like listen to it because like they're honest and they talk about shit that like sort of interest, and it goes exactly what you're talking about, which is I can only listen to Tom Brady's contract 7 times. Yeah. I'd rather listen to Lucy getting the dick pics, or like they're fawning over Gronk's girlfriend or whatever it is. Yeah. All that stuff. Evan Marinowski, too, is another guy.
Yeah.
On the rise.
He's on the rise.
On the rise.
He's still paying money for his education, but he's on the rise.
He's going to be listening to this episode for sure.
He's a
great dude.
Very talented.
Nice boy. If his parents are listening too, he's going to do very well.
But that's our podcast initiative. That's how.
So check it out.
Yeah. Pod Combination Station.
Pod Combination Station. Maybe a bit of a mouthful.
I know, but I'm the only one that says it, so it doesn't make a difference.
Let's get that down to like PDCD.
Well, the biggest
PDCS?
thing is the merch.
Yeah.
We're in negotiations right now for the merch.
Boom sauce. Did you see any of that boom sauce?
Boom sauce money?
Oh yeah.
Boom
Did you see
sauce?
any of that money or sauce itself? This is how good you are at branding, though. Yeah. I thought boom sauce was like your trademark, like can you believe it? I thought it was
really.
I don't know, like I'm not a drinker, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like this thing.
Did I tell you like how that came about?
No.
So they came in. I was doing a show with Villani one night, and they came in as part of a sponsor, and Lord Hobo, and there was boom sauce, and I'm like, how is that not a home run call? How is that not like boom sauce? What a great name! So I just like saying it, right? That's all I did. I like saying boom sauce, and so I messaged them. I said, hey, do you want to link up with the podcast? And like, yeah, let's have some ideas. And of course, sales gets involved, and like, hey, can you invest $1 million? And they're like, no. I'm like, so I grabbed them. I said, listen, don't worry about that right now. If you invest, that's cool. But here's the idea. You make up T-shirts, and I'll just have people go around and yell boom sauce, and I'll give them away T-shirts, and everyone wins. And,
it works.
It works. And, Joe, like people, because guess what? People felt the same way I did. They like saying boom sauce.
No, it's true.
Right?
It's true. I went so far the way around where I was like, hey, this beer company's ripping off Rob. I really did. I was like, hey, he needs to get some money for this. Yeah, that's so funny.
So there was Joe Kelly, obviously, who he is the sole member of the Bradford Show Podcast Hall of Fame. He was linked up with Lord Hobo, and when they won the World Series, they gave him a lifetime supply of boom sauce.
Jesus.
But so I saw his wife at the parade. I said, "Oh, wasn't that awesome? They gave him lifetime." He's like, "Yeah, he stopped drinking about a month ago." So okay. So it was.
That's I quit drinking, and one of the signs that I needed to quit was one Christmas, where all the gifts people gave me were bottles of vodka.
Oh, really?
And I was like, if this is what people immediately snap of their finger think to buy me, maybe I need to reevaluate my life.
Well, listen, it's all different paths.
All different paths.
Well, you're welcome in. I encourage everyone. I don't know if you've been there down Lord Hobo. the Woburn the place, the brewery down there.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not. It's just we've done podcasts from there, and that's another thing. It's like this thing has to go on the road.
Yeah.
This
the next step.
Oh my goodness.
We do
yeah.
Capo's
Yeah.
invited us to do
Oh
it there.
really?
Yeah.
How does that not
We're very
happen?
mobile.
Yeah, it's super mobile.
Really?
Yeah.
Easy.
You can bring all this stuff on
yeah,
the
everything. Every
really?
single bit. We
Every
could pack
single
out
thing.
in 20 minutes.
Really?
20 minutes.
Well, if you want to use my podcast machine, I will lend it out. Or if you want to do a Will Noonan Show Rickshaw podcast.
We would love to do
I would
that.
definitely love
Yeah,
to do
well,
that.
I get
100%.
connections. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really translate to anything good.
You know,
on
a
the-
rickshaw
on the-
guy? You got a rickshaw guy?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, this is awesome. I
It
appreciate
was.
it.
Thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you.
man.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
It really was.
Amazing strong, but yeah.
No, it was. But your first guest, this is
First guest,
this is
way
this is-
bigger than we thought. Home run. Thank you so much for coming,
Oh,
man.
no, I appreciate it.
And you
It
can
was-
find Rob Bradford on Twitter at Bradfo.
Yeah.
I retweet him all the time. You know how to do it.
No, it's all good. This is the most important
This
thing.
is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts on WEI. And thanks again, man.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so
awesome
much.
seeing you again.
Check it out.